What is going on, guys? This is episode 364 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name's Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary's Notice. I know this is an unprecedented time. Sorry. You guys started the jokes about me wearing black first. Anyway, we've got Phil in the studio.
Hi, I'm Phil Levanti, singer from All That Remains. Her shoes are black.
Yeah,
they are. You exposed me.
Yeah. Well, but the shirt is what's visible, and the shirt's not black, so that's what
counts.
Yeah, exactly.
And I pray. I'm not even going to say anything. Hi.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. Well,
good. Excellent. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Disney is in a little bit of a panic mode right now. They just lost 4 million subscribers on a conference call they were talking about. We're going to get into what that means in regards to Bob Iger. We're going to talk about why that growth has slowed, stopped, and then reversed. We're going to talk about stuff to do with the streaming services and the possible melding between that and Hulu, which are going to come together into one platform soon. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about, and I kid you not, something called Karen AI, based on an influencer named Karen Marjorie, who has made an artificially intelligent girlfriend that she will sell you the time with so that you can go on dates with her. It's per minute. You have to pay per minute to date the AI consciousness of an influencer. My goodness, the world we live in these days. Also,
very, very similar to real life.
Yeah,
you're paying depends. Every minute that you're with her.
Yeah, but there's the possibility of like real world affection supposedly in the real world. I've been told. I don't know if such a thing is possible.
Those relationships are the ones that you aim for.
Well, you would hope. So we'll talk about Karen AI. We're going to talk about MrBeast. People are accusing him of being a cult leader because he bought an entire neighborhood out for the employees of his company, and people found that to be very culty. So we will talk about that, and we will talk about John Leguizamo. He is threatening to play Gwyneth Paltrow in a race-swapped version of a documentary based on her ski accident trial because he believes that there are too many white people taking Latino roles. So the whitewashing is getting so bad that he is going to play Gwyneth Paltrow in a movie if we're not all careful.
I mean, I want this.
Do you?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, isn't that totally humiliating?
I mean, like, a lot of the people were saying, like, do it, you won't. Like, I'm here for it, yeah.
Like, well, I don't see how, like, John Leguizamo comes out of that looking like the good guy.
Yeah.
Or anything other than, like, totally sour grapes and completely consumed with like the whole cult ideology thing.
He is, though. I mean, he's a complainer. He's a complainer. That's what he does. So we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff to get into, but before we do that, could you like this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? We are getting close, very close to 60,000 subscribers. So go ahead and subscribe if you have not done so already. Share the video with your friends so that other people can check out the channel, and turn the notification bell on every time you do that. That way you can get the messages, all the notifications, which I'm now getting from one of the Superchats from Disco Jensen. Says, might want to check your metrics. I have notifications on and had to actively find today's show. So maybe just as like a bulwark against that possibly being a problem, turn the notification bell on and go to the page if you've not done so already, if you can't find it. So hopefully you can.
I've had that happen to myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, remember, all Super Chats, $20 and over. We will interrupt the discussion and we will read them right as they come in, and then we will do our best to get right back on topic and discuss things, so you can do that right there. If you guys are ready, Mary, we will get right into it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Phil, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. All right, to get started, this is a bit of a bummer to start things off, but I do think it's important to announce it. Dolph Lundgren says that he's only has 2 or 3 years left to live amid an 8-year secret cancer treatment that he's been going through, which is very, very sad. Obviously, we're talking Rocky, we're talking about Ivan Drago. He's been in and out of hospitals for quite some time, and it came to mind to me today because Jamie Foxx, like they're talking like Jamie Foxx might die. Like his family's like asking for prayers, and he's been in the hospital for like a month.
Really?
Yes.
And you think that he had a stroke?
That's what I think. Yeah. Oh, there's a $20 one right there.
Oh, Josie Cat said, I know the correct answer to the poll is satanic reptilians, but Universal owns Back to the Future, so that skews my opinion a bit.
There is no right answer to this one. The answer is that you're allowed to like whichever one you want. I even added satanic reptilians because we get a lot of crap. Like a lot of people like they give that answer, right? Like they're like, who cares? Hollywood's full of nothing but evil people. But you can't help but love what you love. There's going to be properties. Look, Universal makes the Fast and the Furious movies. I love the Fast and the Furious movies. They're still probably satanic reptilians, but they're satanic reptilians that make movies about cars that I like.
But they're your satanic reptilians.
Exactly. It's exactly right.
Is it a movie about cars or is it a movie about family? Brett?
Both. It's about both. Okay, it's about both. All right, so I really hope that he ends up. They're saying that what happened was they found a tumor in his kidney in 2015. They removed it, and he had to basically start going to the hospital on a regular basis. And he had he was in remission, and then it came back in 2020. Yeah. And they said he only had a couple of months left to live. He went and got a second opinion, and is now they were able to shrink those tumors, and he's been in not remission, but he's been fighting it for several years now. But it's just very sad to see this happen.
He is an older man now.
He's in his 60s.
He's in his 60s. Yeah. I mean, so it sucks. It's, and obviously the best to Dolph and his family. And who knows? Hopefully, he can fight. He's been fighting it for a long time. Hopefully, he can keep it up and live another decade or maybe two. Who knows what will come in the future when it comes to the science of fighting cancer and stuff. So.
And they mentioned that in a couple of articles, he has posited that the steroids he took when he was younger might have played a role in it. Like he admits to that.
Oh. Do steroids cause cancer?
They can. There are a lot of things that can there are a lot of things like that can happen later on down the road, especially in the amounts that they tend to use. Like Dolph Lundgren was not taking just a little juice. He wasn't
Not to look like Ivan Drago.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a young guy, you shouldn't be on juice. Like, wait until dudes in their 50s and stuff. I get it.
Stallone.
Stallone is the same age as George W. Bush, born on the same day. So keep next time you see Stallone, he looks all jacked or whatever. Remember. W. But the point being, I get it for dudes, that are in their 50s and stuff. You want to take testosterone replacement or whatever. I totally makes sense because then you don't have your whole life ahead of you. What you're trying to do is keep the rest of your life, keeping your body as in as good of condition as you can for the rest of your life. Yeah. And when you start taking juice in your 20s and you take it for 20 years, that's one thing as opposed to if you take it in your 55 and you take it until you're 75. It's you're already old and you're trying to make sure that your old age is
fruitful
you're in the best shape
and healthy.
Yeah, because the body
not
starts,
healthy but feel good.
But the body starts losing muscle real fast. Once you hit a certain age, when your testosterone starts to really crater, your body starts to really lose muscle, and that's really bad for your for your getting around, your mobility and stuff like that. You should do everything you can to get as much muscle as you can before you get old. So anyhow.
All right, so we wish him the best, and hopefully that he's able to come through this and get healthy again. But that was a bit of a shock for me to hear. I also want to mention Susan Sarandon. She is the not like most girls of weird Hollywood protesters right now. Instead of protesting the writers' strike, she's protesting for minimum wage for waitresses and waiters at restaurants. Weird?
Is that a movement now?
Yeah, it's called One Fair Wage.
I mean, that is the way that they do it in Europe, right?
Yeah. Well, but they don't tip. They don't
exactly,
tip.
But it's the question is why can't the U.S. do the same thing if they're doing the same in Europe?
They want to raise the minimum wage and allow tipping. So that's
both. I mean, tips are obviously allowed in Europe. Yeah. That would be the same thing as Europe still.
It says
you're not mandatory tipping.
Well, nowadays they don't even have you serve them anything. They turn that thing around on you and ask you to tip them.
It's still optional though. It's just a social
and
pressure
they stare
thing.
at you and they look at you like this.
Yeah.
While you're doing it.
Or you just feel like they're staring at you.
Yes. There's an amazing Trevor Wallace skit of him do you want a tip? It's how much do you want to tip? And then they're just staring him down and saying it out loud. It's every time you do that, it's or I was at Walmart over the weekend and just like the line, they're redoing the cart, the self checkout there, and like I said to you recently, I was like, that just felt like this harbinger of death. Like they took their already large self checkout lanes and they're adding more, and you just get the feeling that these guys who are installing them just feel like harbingers of death who get to bring in a loss of jobs every time they bring in more of these machines. And so because the ones that they were on were shut down, the lines were just enormously long, and then you get through it like 30 minutes later and it's like dares ask you if you want to round up, and I'm like, no, I do not want to round up.
No,
I do not.
I never round up.
At the thrift store, I do. But that's
never.
just because I like paying with cash at thrift stores and being able to get even change back. So I'll usually round up at a thrift store. But it's not like you know where any of that money's going. For all you know, it's like a charity that just roundabouts ends up right back at Walmart.
That's why I don't round up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that self checkouts are getting more popular because people are shoplifting more because of the recession.
Honestly, I think self-checkouts are getting more popular because people are getting more comfortable with the idea of self-checkouts.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I think that the whole shoplifting thing, that's a whole totally different and separate phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because in Japan, you have entire stores where people don't even work. Like you walk in, you get what you want, you pay for it, you leave. That's it.
Amazon was trying to do that here.
Yeah, we don't have a high trust society.
It charges your card though. Like it comes in and it scans your card, and then. And
Japan
then
also is not, from what I understand, in a recession either.
So Sarandon was arrested for protesting.
Wasn't there some other celebrity? I think she was like from Full House who got like pushed down in a protest.
The lady who played
covered.
Kimmy Gibbler, ended up getting at like a pro-abortion.
Yeah, it was
rally.
it was after Roe v. Wade got overturned.
Yeah,
the celebrities going to protests, it never resonates because they get special treatment every time they go to protests. Like Emrata talks about getting arrested at a protest of Kavanaugh's appointment.
Yeah.
And she was never arrested. She was never cuffed.
They're like, do you want us to arrest you?
The police merely escorted her and Amy Schumer and their other A-lister friends out of the building.
Same thing happened with Greta Thunberg recently. There was like, she was getting arrested and the cops were like sitting there bullshitting with her, like talking to her. It's the world we live in now. But it is annoying because like, one, I either think you're annoying. If you're a celebrity that's protesting, you're either really annoying or you're an opportunist, and both are stupid.
Activism is fashion. It's that if you look at like modern society, people that are not like super rich, but people that want to be thought of as well-to-do and stuff, they don't dress flashy anymore. Yeah. They don't drive flashy cars. They have very understated stuff, and then they will tell you about all of the money they give to charity or the activism they do and stuff, because that's how people demonstrate their or signal their virtue. It's all just a pose nowadays. Yeah. So it's just exhausting and tiresome.
Isn't Zuckerberg famous for wearing like the same thing every day?
Yeah,
like he wears like the same like plain blue shirt and shorts every day.
Steve
or something
Jobs
like that.
did
Steve
it,
Jobs,
and Jack Dorsey was famous for wearing flip flops.
And they all
being a Zen guy.
It's all sourced properly and yada yada. And it's like, look, man, I get it. I understand having being socially conscious and stuff, but come on.
Nope. I say just buy whatever clothes you want from anywhere, because at the very least, sure, your shirt was perfectly sourced. Your phone still has slave labor all up in it. Sorry, not happening.
And pick your battles, I guess.
Yes, exactly.
I'm gonna be the libertarian here a little bit, and it's like people are real quick to be like, oh, the slave labor, blah 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 blah. If you took those plants out of those places, those people that work there for $1 a day or whatever, their job is now gone, and a lot of the people that end up in those positions die of starvation. And so your option is slave labor or starvation, or oftentimes sex slavery or something like that. Something equally horrible. A lot of times to us it looks like it's terrible, but to the people in those conditions and in those situations, they don't have a choice.
Yeah, we're thinking like, why don't they just work at Trader Joe's?
There is no Gap to go work at if there aren't people making the clothes cheap enough to go into the Gap.
Yes.
So it's like, I get it being socially conscious, but before you beat yourself up about it and make yourself feel like a horrible person, remember that a lot of these people are in a situation where even if it's bad, taking away the job only makes it worse. I just got like dive bombed, like,
which is funny because they haven't been bad lately. The stink bugs have been actually pretty normal lately, so they actually haven't been much of a problem. So I as much as I hate activism from celebrities, and I do believe that
Tom Cruise
everyone should be. I see him now. He's over.
Tom Cruise.
he's buzzing the tower.
Tom Cruise missile. There we go.
Okay.
All right, so I can at least give her points for creativity for not being on the writer's strike. There you go. Mary, tell us all about what's going on with Doja Cat.
Doja Cat recently tweeted that her previous albums were both cash grabs and mediocre pop, and basically called her fans stupid for ever liking them.
LOL.
But it's promotion for her new album.
She's known to be a provocateur online, right?
She started out as a troll and then accidentally
became successful.
Successful, yeah.
Hate it when that happens.
Wait a minute, it started out as a troll. What do you mean?
Remember Bitch I'm a Cow?
No.
You don't remember that? Okay, she dressed up like a cow, but like slutty, and made a song called "Bitch I'm a Cow."
That's how she got on the because the only reason I know who she is because that one song that I could be your, I forget what it is, but
she had multiple viral TikTok.
Yeah,
songs.
exactly. It was the
COVID plus "Bitch I'm a Cow."
Okay.
And she ended up here, and she's meowing on the red carpet.
I saw
at Met Gala. I don't like when celebrities act so like unique and not like other girls. You know what I mean?
I love the way you characterize it. I'm just so unique and not like all the other girls.
They all think that. But calling your customers stupid doesn't seem like the smartest thing in the entire world.
Yeah, everyone was replying like, actually, you're annoying. And she is. So she said, Planet Her and Hot Pink were cash grabs, and y'all fell for it. Now I can go disappear somewhere and touch grass with my loved ones on an island while y'all weep for mediocre pop.
I feel like a lot of that's like she's like looking for a response on that. Like it feels like
I mean, definitely she was.
Yeah, but I mean, also she's probably not wrong. Those are big songs. There's a lot of spins on those. So.
Do you think that, but then like what do you do then when the next album comes out? Do you say like, this one is serious, guys, I was kidding the first time around, this one is not a cash grab, this one I actually want you to enjoy?
But she doesn't want it to make too much money,
or
else it's not true art. She also changed her screen name back to Doja Cat, her actual stage name, instead of like what it was before, which was like Pussy Fart or something. Like it was always just random.
Now I gotta follow her, man.
It was always just like random vulgar stuff because I don't think women are capable of making real jokes,
humor,
other than referring to their genitalia.
Well, that and we had a comment on our thing the other day about Chelsea Handler. It says she's a comedian, not a TED talker. I'm like, she's not. She's neither.
She just tweeted
Chelsea
39
Handler
minutes ago.
said that?
No, somebody said that about like when we did the thing about I mean,
what?
I couldn't tell whether they were in favor of what we were talking about or not, but mainly because what she posted was kind of like a PSA.
I mean, if she's a comedian, she's still not funny though.
And I was like, yeah, well, she's neither.
It was an attempt.
Yeah, she tried her best to be funny.
There was an attempt.
Yeah. All right.
She's on Twitter right now, or she was on Twitter like an hour ago.
She's always on
Doja
Twitter.
Cat?
Stirring the pot. Yeah, her last tweet was fell for it.
Oh.
So,
All right.
I follow her now.
Paul Walker's daughter Meadow is going to cameo in Fast X.
Meadow Walker. She walks in meadows.
Yes. Meadow Walker will be in the movie. It says honoring her dad's legacy. So that might be something you might find interesting if you are going to go and see this movie, which of course I am.
I mean, it's better than like a deep fake cameo.
Yeah, like the funny thing is like I wonder how much people put that on, like where we're at now technology wise, and obviously we're going to get into that later. A lot of this started when he passed away before the end of Fast 7, and they had to digitally alter his brother's face to look like him in a couple of those shots to do that final scene. Like they didn't have to do it a lot for the scenes in film, but when they tacked on the scene at the end that explains why he's not going to be around anymore, they had to shoot those with his brother and then essentially make his face look like Paul Walker's face in the close-ups. And
he's alive. His character is alive
in universe. Yes, okay. Yeah. So he just goes a separate way,
keeping that door open for when the technology gets good enough, right?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Well, are you referring to the technology as in creating him CGI, or the technology as in rising him from the grave?
I mean, aren't they the same thing at this point?
Well, we're bringing Walt Disney back first. If we're bringing anyone back, we're bringing Walt Disney back first to clear out the commies.
Yeah, that'll be that. Oh, well, I like that idea. But also, as soon as you bring him back, you know they're going to kill him for being an anti-Semite.
Yes.
Walt was a problematic racist,
There's,
homophobe, etc.
Well, but the thing is, everybody back then was that way. Like, there
yeah, I know.
wasn't good guys.
There's
People imagine that.
There's this Instagram account I follow of this guy who does like crude videos of the Mickey Mouse hand puppet. And the guy who does that, he's like,
it's the weirdest thing that you like on Instagram.
Yes.
And you like really weird things on Instagram.
It's this guy who does like he does weird crude videos with a Mickey Mouse hand puppet. He's like, oh, good. He's like, oh, golly me, and it's all these like he reacts to weird videos. And he has one where he always talks about Uncle Walt. And he talks about like, Uncle Walt's a Nazi. They talk about him that. So he gets brought up.
I wonder if Iger has seen that account.
Probably. That guy's really funny. That guy, I get the feeling that he wouldn't get along with us, but I like him.
That's okay.
Like if he's making jokes about him being a Nazi, I'm guessing that he's like he would also make jokes.
Was he? I don't know what he said.
He more like they're doing like a word association game or like a name association game where they like list names and faces on screen, and then when Walt Disney comes up, he mentions, I know people think it's a Nazi, but like but he's not. Okay. So guys, go check out his account. I wish I had the title on hand, but it's like Hassan something. So, but the guy's really, really funny. Okay. All right, we got a couple of more things real quick. Andrew Tate, he gives the thumbs up to Kate Middleton. Yeah. He wants her to be queen. He says she's got ice cold G vibes. And earlier today, I shared with Mary the greatest Andrew Tate video of all time, which is the one where he makes fun of Meghan Markle.
Can we react to it?
Should we? We can probably
this
watch
is
it.
The best Andrew Tate video I've ever seen.
It is. It's my favorite.
I've seen a lot.
It's the one that helped me realize that he really can intellectualize just about any concept.
I love that being British, he's still like super opinionated about the royals.
Yes.
Because on this show, we mostly are talking about American pop culture, but pop culture in the UK is the royal family. It's the same thing.
I'm not trying to make enemies, because trust me.
Here we go. We'll watch this. If you guys haven't seen this one, this is one of my favorite. This and the one where he talks about shampoo, bottled shampoo are my favorites.
Okay.
When he gets into really weird stuff.
Have enough. But I feel compelled to comment on this Meghan and Harry documentary. Why is nobody pointing out the obvious? As usual, Andrew Tate, the man who has to get canceled for saying water is wet.
Water.
I'm just gonna fucking say. The basic premise is that Meghan and Harry are innocent and the royal family is guilty and bullying them and picking on them, and that England as a whole has bullied them and picked on them. The reason being because they are racist. Why is nobody else saying that Meghan Markle isn't black? She's whiter than me. Not only is she whiter than me,
Whiter.
She's whiter than the current Prime Minister of the UK.
True.
She's whiter than the Mayor of London.
Also
She's
true.
not even black. Why is nobody talking about this? The fact she's pulling the race card is absolutely and utterly insulting to every dark-skinned person who has ever genuinely suffered from racism, ever. If you're sitting there and you're dark-skinned and you suffer from racism, why are you allowing this light-skinned white woman to come along and use racism as defense for the fact that she's just not a likable person? And nobody likes seeing the Prince of England cock. Because that's all that's happened. No one likes to see the Prince of England be a bitch. And we know it's her fault. It's nothing to do with your skin color. We just don't fucking like you. The only people who are sticking up for her as well are these race-baiting, random liberal black people.
Race-baiting.
She's using the race card and she doesn't even deserve it. No one's fucking racist against her. She was famous. She was fine. She was in Suits or whatever.
He likes Suits, I bet
whatever
you.
haram stuff she was doing. There's no racial implication here. Nobody likes her at all. So, as usual, Andrew Tate has the solution. I officially invite Meghan Markle to cook me chicken. Because if she's black, it's gonna taste good. I know. I've been around the block. I'm brown enough to tell. When Meghan Markle cooks me a chicken dinner, I know she doesn't cook shit for Harry. When she cooks me a chicken dinner, I will then confirm if she is black or not. Because I have a strong suspicion she's full of shit.
Look,
She's whiter than Halsey. You know Halsey's half black too?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I think her dad's black.
didn't
But
know
she's Meghan Markle is whiter than Halsey. That should say something.
So yeah, so he says it says Andrew Tate says Kate Middleton gives ice cold G vibes.
I mean, she does. I don't know if that's the wording that most people would use.
He also showed like the deep fake of him as the king. So it is.
She
what it
is the superior princess.
I mean, I remember everyone being obsessed with her when she first came to be, right?
Yeah.
Like that was at a time where like tabloids were still a bigger thing than they are now.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been inside a Walgreens in a very long time, but like every magazine that was at the front counter had a picture of Kate Middleton on it at that time.
Kate Middleton, the pictures from the coronation, she does look absolutely smoking.
Yes,
No question.
she's gorgeous. And she gives royal more than
She's giving what she's supposed to be giving.
Yes.
Well, and she's also trying to do what she's supposed to be doing. Like Meghan Markle didn't want anything to do with it. She was trying to capitalize on just.
She went on vacation instead.
Yeah, she's like, look, I'll use Harry
You
to
go,
raise
Harry.
my star.
I'm gonna go to Cabo, hang out with a bunch of towel boys.
Yeah.
she loves I'm sure she loves them. And I'm sure
I love
the
fake
prince, and I'm
news.
sure the prince is just happy. Is just fine with that.
Yeah.
Whatever makes her happy. All right. Also, there's going to supposedly be a Freaky Friday sequel, and they expect Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan to return.
I don't know how I feel about this. Is
I
this
don't-
gonna be on Disney Plus?
That the original one that I saw said box office, so said theater release.
I thought that the
think Disney
original
Plus
was a
makes more
Disney
sense.
original.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Not as good as what's the one with the other one with the two I can't think of it off the top
All
of my head.
Freaky Friday involves two people,
Yes.
so I don't know what you mean. But the Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan one was also a reboot.
Yes, based on the one from like the 60s or the 70s
But
or something like
was
that.
obviously the best one that they ever made.
Well, it's funny too because that's become a thing now. Like a lot of people don't realize all the stuff that they're mad about them rebooting was a reboot of something else. Like I love Gone in 60 Seconds, but that's a reboot of another Gone in 60 Seconds that has literally nothing to do with the one that they made in the year 2000.
I guess
outside of
technically
Louis
aren't the Star Wars prequels a reboot?
not reboots, but they're
In a way.
continuations.
Absolutely and totally, completely not.
Yeah,
The prequels?
Yeah.
they're just continuations.
No, the sequels. This like the Force Awakens was essentially
Well,
a reboot.
I understand that those are rebooting, but like if there's a gap in time.
But they're not
between-
rebooting; they're continuing.
Because a reboot is like I think of a reboot is redoing the original story.
In
And
that
I
way,
don't think
The Force Awakens
Okay.
basically copies it, but it doesn't redo it.
And the prequels have their own completely isolated story from the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like there's all the
Okay.
political stuff and how Anakin becomes Darth Vader, whereas the second one is how Luke Skywalker saves Darth Vader. The whole saves Darth Vader from all three of them together. It's how how Luke Skywalker saves Anakin Skywalker from the dark side at the very end of his life. So it's really the story of Anakin Skywalker, and then the sequels they just rebooted Episode 4, which was A New Hope, with a female lead,
But it's
and
not
then the
the
rest
same
of it fell
characters.
apart because
Yeah.
Rian Johnson decided that he wanted to excoriate Star Wars and destroy it because he's a horrible person.
Another person using excoriating. I love it when people
good
use
word.
that word. It's a fantastic word. So, Freaky Friday, if anybody has any interest in seeing a rebooted version of
might.
that, or not a rebooted, a continued version of that, not a rebooted, because it's bringing the same people back. So, now you got me falling into the trap. Can't say reboot. It's not a reboot. It's not a reboot. All right. Would you like to see cute of the day first or cringe of the day?
Cringe.
Cringe first? We got a couple of them here today. Okay. Do we want to do Ben Affleck first?
Yeah.
Poor Ben Affleck. This guy. He's got a
Phil,
movie.
I knew that you were gonna get a kick out of this, unless you've seen it already.
I mean, I'm a fan of Ben Affleck, so I don't know, but we'll
Ben
see.
Affleck and Jennifer Lopez are walking in the car.
He's just-
Very chivalrous, Ben. Look at his hand.
it's literally the meme of him standing outside with the cigarette.
I
I love Ben Affleck.
He is literally living Gone Girl.
Yes, right now.
Like, what did they just recently got back together too, right?
Yeah.
Dude, and they're like,
where'd
always,
the honeymoon
and
phase
he's
go?
always there's been zero honeymoon phase. He looks bummed all the time. Anytime they're in public, he
It's
looks
just
upset.
it's straight back to the Latina emotional extortion.
Like anytime they're in public, he's like he looks half dead inside.
Yeah.
Like anytime, and like you can just tell that she's just like, why are you looking like that? Why are you looking like that?
She's definitely having one of her BPD days.
He's got a movie coming out called Hypnotic that I'm looking forward to seeing. It's got him and William Fichtner in it, so I'm hoping to go and see that. Hopefully, he looks happier in that movie at some point than he looks in this clip.
One
Ben
person
Affleck-
thought that they were upset because someone was filming them.
Well, that's a fair point, right? Like that, actually the first thing I thought when you're watching this, I'm like, that guy is close. Because it's not like he's super far zoomed in. If he was super far zoomed in, the camera would be shaking
Right.
more. So this guy's just like standing awkwardly close with his phone out. And
Society's weird.
So he's not even mad at her. He's mad at this douchebag behind him that's filming
Maybe.
him. This douchebag who we
Maybe.
applaud for getting us this clip.
Or it's both.
It's a
They
little
were
bit of
already
both.
fighting.
It's a little. He's like, ugh, and he just slams.
Yeah,
the
like
door.
she was a little snippy about something, and then this fucking guy.
Yeah, he's
pardon my
like
French.
He's like, I can't even argue with my woman in public without people filming it. And it's just it's a damn
As soon as
shame.
the car door closes, they're just screaming at each
Yeah.
other.
He's like, I don't want Chipotle for
Because
lunch.
you know that door closing and her steam level just went right through the roof. What are you doing slamming my door? Is that sass? You know, she's ready to go. As soon as he sits down, he's
it's
just
like
getting,
that, yeah.
it's just like this a barrage of Spanish rage right in his face.
And he's just like,
Yeah, he's just like,
he just shuts down.
he's just like, where are my cigarettes?
his hand is like
Yeah.
pulling the wheel
Yeah.
off the car as they're driving,
Ben's
as she
like-
just screams at him.
Ben's like, I can't believe Marlboros are $15 a pack in California nowadays.
They're buying like a $63 million mansion. I don't
They're
think
good.
that
They're
matters
fine.
to him. But okay, we've got Halle Bailey, and whoever chose these stills is the worst employee in the history of entertainment tonight. Here's the first one.
Can we just zoom in? This looks fine.
Yep.
Okay.
This is really normal. They're like, okay.
Eyes far apart, not maybe a good angle, but it's okay.
And then they're like, here, let's get another still.
And then not that.
That's the best.
What did they do to her eye?
She looks like a hammerhead shark.
They didn't even change her pose.
Zoom in on her eye.
Yeah, they didn't
Like, it's
even-
very disturbing. They like changed the color of her eye.
She does look like her
And
mother
then,
is a
then
hammerhead
her
shark.
iris is like an oval instead of a circle.
We're like all the way zoomed in here.
Oh, okay.
We can't zoom in anymore. That's like
Just
they
why?
just
she
just
is
moved
the moment,
eye.
all right.
Also, what's up with that cheek? Did they do something to the cheek here?
Did they?
Yeah, look at the cheek. It's like they
It
tried.
was a bubble in the water.
Yeah, they tried to make it look like a bubble, and it just looks like what's that condition that they keep talking about these
Mary,
days?
we got a 21.
Oh, let me see here. Deuce Boogaloo said, guys, there's reboots, remakes, revivals, sequels, and prequels. When the X-Files came back was a reboot. Freaky Friday was a remake. iCarly is a revival.
Wait,
Force Awakens was a sequel, and Phantom Menace was a prequel.
Force Awakens was a reboot with a vagina. Don't you lie to me. I saw that movie.
The X-Files coming back was not a reboot. That would be that wouldn't be a reboot. That would be a revival because it was the same actors in the same timeline, right? So that can't be a reboot.
Someone on Twitter said Disney's intentionally making this movie look as bad as possible as a
feels like
social
that.
experiment. They want to see how much they can get away with before it cuts into their bottom line.
Like Bob Iger's like, do it. We're already losing.
Yeah.
Do it. Bring it all down.
He's going to be the one that takes Disney down once and for all.
I didn't see this one.
Oh, and also somebody made a thread in the quote tweets saying, for every 10 likes, I'm going to Photoshop her eyes farther apart. And then they just go off screen.
Oh, man.
Yep.
What a
Mama was
dick.
a hammerhead shark.
Oh, man.
I stand by that
And
one.
like, I like the feature of like eyes being far apart. I think that looks cool.
Someone in the chat said, is there an Alabama of the ocean?
This one's fine. There's not like what there was no reason to even add the second screenshot. It's
Yeah.
it's the same thing. They just moved her eye up. It's creepy and weird.
I wonder what she would
It's
think.
not as bad as that Entertainment Tonight promo they did for Rings of Power, where it looked like a 90s sitcom, where it like zooms past them all like against bad green screens. Do you remember that? We talked about it on air. Like it's just against black. It's just against black.
It was like a soap opera.
Yeah. It really was.
And then also people are saying like the ocean in the background is mysteriously empty and it just makes you feel Uncanny Valley vibes.
Yeah, like there was no reason to add the second screenshot. Why did you need two?
Okay, another thing that feels just off about this movie is the shade of red that they made her hair. I don't want a realistic red hair that's like a muted brown. I want it to be like Ariel's hair. Actually bright red.
But they don't want her to be anything like Ariel.
Yeah.
I mean, facts.
They could have just gotten Javicia Leslie, who played Batwoman, with the red wig, and they could have just had her do
They
it.
should have gotten Amber Heard. I would rather have Amber Heard.
Amber Heard would have been an interesting choice. Oh, she'd been too old though. By like
really?
Yeah, she's I mean, Halle Bailey's like 20.
She looks
early
pretty
20s.
young. I mean,
Amber Heard's my age, I believe. So she's a little old for that role. Plus,
Mira.
Mara.
Mara.
But I don't want to know. Are there beds down there? I don't want her crapping on any beds under the water. That's not healthy. It's not safe. It's
on the
not,
seabed.
It's not. Yes. It's not. It's not. Good
well,
for
fish
us.
is poop.
It's not sanitary.
Yeah. No.
Well, I don't want it. All right. Let's get started then, guys. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about but first we're going to talk about Disney. There's a bunch of stuff going on.
We forgot. Cute of the day.
Oh, gosh.
Brett,
I almost forgot.
They were going to eviscerate you in the chat if you forgot Cute of the Day.
I almost forgot.
I'm lucky I remembered it for you.
Thank you, Mary.
Why'd you save him? It would have been funny.
We've got Cute of the Day. We've got a bunch here, so let's go. First is Philip Cole. He does not list. I do not get a pet name here, so it's just Philip.
I like
Cole's,
ginger cats.
It's just Philip Cole's kitty. So there we go.
Cute.
We've got Melissa on Twitter. This is MG Kitty, established 2014.
MG Kitty.
Yeah, MGK.
Oh,
MG Kitty.
nice.
That's
a lot cuter than the real MGK.
Much cuter than the original MGK. Oh my goodness. So thank you very much for that submission, Melissa. And let's do two more. So this is from Waffle Sensei. Our friend
thanks,
Waffle
Waffles.
Sensei says,
Waffle
"This is
Sensei.
Mila."
Hi.
Look at this lion's mane.
It's giving Lion King vibes.
It's serving.
Yes. And then we got one more.
Amazing.
I like
I was saying I love how tomcats who haven't been fixed yet have these like gigantic fat faces. But I like the lion's mane.
Let's do one more. This is from, we had Philip Cole already. Good.
Okay.
And then we've got, from Toy News Daily. He says, everyone send your love to Mo here, who's had an upset stomach all week. He's a very, very good boy and needs to know that it's not his fault. Those Creek sticks are just so tasty. Hashtag,
Is he sitting like a human?
Yes, he's very much, he's looked like he's reevaluating his life choices there.
He's sitting like a very handsome young man.
Yes, he is. All right. So, guys, if you do have pets that you would like to submit to PCC Pets, also include, I think it's best to also tag in Pop Culture Crisis, me or PCC. It's at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. That way it's easier to find. And
the hashtag doesn't work?
No, it does, but I also want to drive people to the channel as well.
True.
So, yeah. So, tag in the company's Twitter account. It's at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. And tag me in there if you'd like as well, or Mary. And then hashtag PCC Pets. We are including all of the good boys and girls for PCC Pets. So let's get into it, guys. Speaking of people that are not good, Disney is not good these days.
Good.
Bob Iger did the quarterly earnings call, and they're panicking right now. Disney is panicking right now because they lost 4 million subscribers when they were expecting to grow by several million, which is not good, ladies and gentlemen. They were expecting to grow from 161.8 million subscribers to 163.2 million subscribers. They ended up falling to 157 million subscribers, a 4 million subscriber loss. Not good.
No, and remember when we thought it was this momentous occasion when Netflix lost 200K?
Yeah. Well,
that's nothing. That's rookie numbers.
They lost 200K in America. Disney lost about 300K in America here, according to this article here. So they lost 4 million subscribers, and they say the way they're going to fix this is by focusing on quality over quantity. Shocking concept right there, guys. Shocking.
Bob Iger, damn you and your non-threatening cardigans.
Well, hey, I love as
You're
a cardigan
so bad
wearer
at your job.
as a cardigan wearer myself, I have no problem with that. But he says that basically that ad budgets spread them. They spread themselves too thin with ad budgets because they have to make all these products and not any nothing but the tent poles seem to be driving subscriber growth. So only the big budget ones that go to theaters
drive subscriber growth.
No.
I don't think it did.
Well, they're not listing that. They list Marvel movies and Pixar movies when they're talking there. I think was Strange Worlds wasn't Pixar. It was a Disney Disney animation.
owns like Marvel, Star Wars,
Pixar.
and Pixar,
And 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, I mean, like they really should be honing in on the core audience of Marvel, the core audience of Star Wars, and they should be servicing the crap out of those people for the next decade, or they're going to absolutely destroy those properties.
But that's what they sincerely believe themselves to be doing.
No. They think they're cultivating a new audience of gay women.
They're looking to expand the audience because they have been convinced that the social justice stuff is actually going to pay the bills.
Sure, but they also think that the fans of Marvel are just going to take anything Marvel and like it.
That's why I think they need to focus on the core audiences and the core story types that people enjoy. When you the thing is, like, Captain Marvel was not a heroic person in the movie, and how the fact that she was not behaving like a hero behaves slipped by, and they allowed that movie to be made. It's like, how is it that you can't see that she is behaving in a non-heroic way? Like, she's not going to inspire people when she's angry and bitter, and that's the way she was written.
She's not a hero, she's a hero. Remember, she's a hero with the H-E-R.
I hate that. Is it true that Bob Iger said it's bad business to change the culture of the IPs that they require and ruin what makes them special?
Hopefully.
Did he really say that? Because I see that in the comment section. It's a lie, obviously.
Yes.
That hasn't been the strategy.
So he talks about he talks about how marketing has been spread thin because they've got too many projects and they can't put marketing where it needs to go, right? Like, if you have to advertise a bunch of Disney Plus shows that nobody's watching and taking the budget away from all of your big budget tentpoles that actually need the marketing done to get the info out there. I remember a time when I would be able to go on, because I use IMDb a lot, and all I would see are Disney ads in the IMDb section, and when you'd see the little banner ads at the bottom. I don't see that as much these days.
So they canceled Willow and they canceled National Treasure after one season.
Well, National Treasure without Nicolas Cage. Shocking how that didn't get a second season.
What else have they canceled? I don't know. I don't pay attention to Disney Plus because I always thought it was the least relevant.
Well, also now Andor season 2 is in jeopardy because of the WGA writer's strike and stuff like that. And they're going to have to pull back on all this stuff. Also, they're talking about bundling Disney Plus and Hulu into like one package by the end of 2023 so that you can do...
It's going to be a one-app experience.
Which is stupid because I don't have Disney Plus anymore. I only have Hulu, and I like Hulu a lot. I don't want Hulu to change.
Well, I guess they are saying Hulu is not going to change. They're not going to change the catalog. They're just going to merge it.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is like... So the idea is like people are going to be like, why would I keep Hulu? I'll just go get Disney Plus for more.
That is odd because Disney Plus was thought of as this like kind of kid-friendly
not anymore.
Streaming service, and if you merge it with Hulu, it's not going to be that at all.
Nope. A majority of the stuff that I watch on there is not kid.
I mean, is there anything that's like not kid friendly on Disney Plus right now?
Yeah. Well, we had that discussion when the Punisher is on there, and I wouldn't consider that kid friendly. I wouldn't consider Daredevil, the Daredevil Netflix series, to be necessarily kid friendly, especially in regards to like the physical violence on the show.
Okay. Aside from violence, is there sexuality shown on Disney Plus?
I don't know.
I just think it's a big shift in like the target audience when you add all of that
business model
stuff to one platform.
Yeah.
Because like, what's the identity of it anymore?
Yeah. They also, this is the second quarterly drop in a row. So recently we did a video where we talked about how Lightyear and what was the other one? And Strange Worlds together lost about $200 million. And people were like, oh, that's just a drop in the bucket to Disney. That's nothing. I was like, you can only do that for so long before it starts to take a dent in, put a dent in the show. So it's a $659 million loss this quarter. So clearly it does make a difference if you lose a couple $100 million on your movies. They lost over $1 billion the quarter before this. So in 2 quarters, they've lost nearly $2 billion in revenue. You can't do that forever. Even Disney can't do that forever. Even with all of the ESG investment, you can't do that forever.
Because your investors notice.
Yeah.
I mean, to think the investors haven't noticed this already is ridiculous. That's the reason that Iger's talking about this. It was the investors' call is when when he said this stuff. It's like, I'm sure that if he's making these kind of comments, he's not doing it in a vacuum. He's responding to investors he's responding to things that he's hearing from the investors. He's trying to calm people down because there's already people that are like, maybe we should get out of here. People are seeing what happened at Bud Light and the significant decline in volume of sales on Bud Light, and they're going to equate it to Disney. The fact that woke has now become a thing that is in people's minds so much, and you're seeing such a negative reaction to it, people are starting to notice that it's being shoved down their throat. It's been so long that every single show has to have some kind of LGBT representation and stuff, and people are getting to the point where they're like, all right, I'm kind of over it. And so, it seems like Disney was Bob's responding. Yep. We'll see if it pans out, but
like with Lightyear, for instance, it barely had that. It had like a blink and you miss it.
Yeah, but the marketing had it, and Chris Evans talked about it a bunch in the marketing.
Sure,
yeah.
But I mean, how much do people actually pay attention?
But that's usually what it is. Usually, it's less bad in the movies, and the marketing makes it way worse. Like usually, they focus on it in the marketing, and it should be the opposite.
I don't think people who are just ordinary people taking their kids to the movies to occupy them for a couple hours pay attention to what Chris Evans is saying about Lightyear. I don't think they have
activists do.
Heard about it.
Activists do.
But the thing is,
but then how are they?
Like,
then how does the movie
people
fail?
didn't like Lightyear because it sucked.
Well, no, and no Tim Allen.
Well, it's also not related to the rest of Toy Story.
Yeah.
So when Bob Iger is saying like we need to emphasize the franchises, the Pixar, the Star Wars, the Marvel of it all, he's not paying attention to the fact that quality matters, not just hitting on a zombified, Weekend at Bernie's corpse of a franchise that people once liked.
He does mention that they need to focus on quality more than quantity now.
Well,
but
good
also
luck doing that. Nobody working at Disney has any creative integrity.
They also talk about content write down, right? Or impairment charge, meaning that they're basically pulling like almost $2 billion worth of worthless content off of Disney because it's not making any money.
Well, I mean, just letting it sit there, how does that cost anything?
Server space, brand if it hurts brand by not be if you're putting out a bunch of stuff and nobody's watching it, and then you start being known as a place where nothing but fluff, that can be brand damaging, right? Okay. So it says when I looked up, it said, an impairment charge is a process used by businesses to write off worthless goodwill. So in this context, the content has to be written off and gotten rid of as a way of like writing down expenses. And I imagine server space, updating thumbnails, like content still has to be looked after.
I wish they named specifically what they're gonna take off of Disney Plus.
I know, right? Well, we'll end up seeing down the line what that is. Also, I found out, so Hotstar, they referenced that the lack of subscriber growth, the fall in subscriber growth was connected to the failings of their launch of Hotstar, which is basically Disney in India and Southeast Asia. And what they said was that the slower than average growth was related to the fact that they lost the rights to premium cricket matches there.
Cricket matches.
Yes, big deal over there, I guess. Yep. Cricket is one of the biggest sports in the world.
Yeah.
So they lost access to that, which hurt growth. So now
the ghost of British colonialism in India.
Can't get rid of it, man.
I love the butterfly effect sometimes.
It just shows up anyway. So they talk about how the tent poles need to be used to spur on subscriber growth. So then what is the market for these shows that, like when I think of Disney Plus, I never wanted it for like Marvel movies. I wanted it for old stuff from Disney that I loved when I was a kid. I wanted it for Brink, so I could watch the movie Brink from the Disney Channel back in the late 90s. Like that's what I think of when I think of Disney.
Ducks.
And in movies like the Mighty Ducks, which were Disney movies but aren't something that we would consider a franchise at the time.
Yeah, that's why I was so confused by Disney Plus when it first came out in 2019, because I thought this is just a streaming service for people who are adult Disney super fans that are nostalgic for all the content, which I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid, so I don't care for it. I don't want to get it. And then COVID was pretty much the thing that locked them in for success.
Yeah, a lot of it's almost
people
like
were so starved for content.
accidental
during
success.
COVID. Yeah, it would not have gotten to this point without COVID.
Has anybody checked flight logs to see if Bob Iger's been to Wuhan? I'm just saying,
or Epstein Island.
We could check on both of them. I'm still saying it's possible.
It's interesting when
China, there's obviously China has a big effect on what Disney does and does not do.
Yes.
They'll pretend that it doesn't.
Well, yeah.
Hence the marketing for Lightyear. Being like, we don't care if China doesn't want to screen it.
I'm going to read what they were saying about the content pull down. So it says, as a result, we are removing certain content from our streaming platforms and currently expect to make an impairment charge of approximately 1.5 to 1.8 billion. The charge, which will be recorded in our segment results, will primarily be recognized in the third quarter as we complete our review and remove the content. I do love how, we've gotten so good in this country at fudging numbers. They're like, and the numbers will show up on this quarter, but not this quarter. They're so good at moving money around to hide losses and make everything seem on the up and up. WWE was able to do that for years.
The thing about losses is they're not losses until they're realized losses.
Yes.
So
she also says that she noted that another $180 million charge for the rest of the company's 2023 fiscal year ends in September, following a hit last quarter of $150 million, mostly due to severance from the 7,000 workers they're laying off. Because remember, everything's fine at Disney. There's nothing wrong here. They can afford to make bad movies that nobody's watching, except for the fact that they're laying people off and money's going out the window.
I just saw a tweet that said Disney Plus lost 6.4 million subscribers in 2023 so far. So that's after the first 3 months of the year. They're claiming that it was another 2.4 million loss.
How many subscribers did they have?
Well, they have about 160.
157
is what they're at right now.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know if the 6.4 number is correct, but that's crazy.
Yep.
I wonder if the Proud Family reboot, what is it, a remake, revival? The Proud Family revival is going to be taken off the platform because it was blatant race hustling for children.
They'll leave it.
Who didn't like the original Proud Family show because they are... I mean, the people who watched Proud Family are my age or older.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of this stuff is it just feels like, this is why whenever we talk about these things, I get frustrated because I'm like, it never feels like anything changes, right? They lose money. They make movies that nobody watches. They're making these movies that cost $250 to $300 million a piece, right? Which means every single one of them needs to make $800 million to $1 billion just to start sniffing profit. And you're just like, what's the point of risking that much every time?
Are they doing it internationally? They have to do it internationally?
They have to make that much. They have to make at least $1 billion on a lot of these movies to even come anywhere near profit, because you're only taking 50% of the box office home. So if a movie makes, if you spend $250 or $300 million to make a movie, right? So you spend $250 million to make a movie. You take 1.5 of that times 1.5 of that to add to the marketing budget. You have a $500 million movie. Say that movie makes $500 million on its opening weekend. That's not likely, but say it makes $300 million. It's a really, really good movie. They're only keeping half of that, so they've made $150 million on an opening weekend. Marvel movies are now averaging a 60% drop week 1 to week 2.
Okay,
you can't do that and continually expect to make profit.
They've lost 4 million in the fiscal second quarter, but in quarter one they lost 2.4 million subscribers.
Okay.
And their stock is down by 9% today.
Yep.
Is it go woke, go broke in action? They're not broke. That's the thing.
Yeah.
They're never gonna go broke.
Get woke, invest in ESG more.
It's get woke, get a little bit panicked about losses.
Stock always seems
restore
to
a little bit and then keep going with wokeness.
For them, we are talking about Disney, and I understand that they're the intellectual property that they own means that they're not going to go broke.
Exactly.
But they can be affected by stockholders and by what people do, by what people say, and that should be the goal. If you look at what's going on with Anheuser-Busch, they're having repercussions, and I think that Anheuser-Busch is going to be a indication to other companies that there's not just blank, an open invitation to do those types of endorsements
Marketing
and
campaigns.
stuff like that. Yeah.
And remember, all of this is going on while DeSantis and Iger are basically fighting like schoolgirls.
He even called
over-
out DeSantis
Yeah.
on the call.
Like they're like he's fighting with Iger
He's
and
like,
DeSantis.
do you want
are
our
fighting.
business or not?
Yeah, they're, like,
while he's
threatening to
laying
leave
off
Florida.
thousands of people in the company,
Yeah.
he claims that he's about to introduce tens of thousands of new jobs.
Yeah.
Like you're laying off 7,000 people though. Also, it's ironic that Bob Iger is capable of recognizing a W when it comes from the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Said he thanked them for like saving the industry and congratulated them on such a huge win. That was Illumination, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That made
Well,
it with
in
Nintendo.
Nintendo, yeah.
And it's just an obvious like apolitical win for them, but he doesn't have the common sense to mirror that in his own company.
Nope. Because they wanted to get involved in politics, and they want to get involved in the stupid Florida and the "Don't Say Gay" bill, and obviously we're all like, what does that have to do with Disney? Well, Disney's doing their children's invite pride festivals or pride nights and stuff like that. So what do you do? Like when you're a company like Disney, it does feel like a slow motion car crash, and maybe it's one of those things that 20 years from now there'll be great documentaries made about all of this that will kind of condense it down into a shorter format that will be easier to, and it'll seem like it happened quicker than it did. But it just seems like now, and there are great channels out there. Clownfish TV does great work covering Disney. WDW Pro does great work covering Disney. We don't cover it a whole ton because it always seems like we're like, I enjoy covering the movies when there's stuff like Lightyear, but the business side of it, this is a little bit interesting to me because it just seems like how many quarter over quarter can you lose subscribers? But there are whole channels that make it their business to cover Disney as a whole, and you see it just goes very, very slowly. They're collapsing, but they're collapsing very, very slowly. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. We got some super chats there, Mary.
Martin Santiago said, the fight to expose those who would destroy this nation will go on and on. Senator Joseph McCarthy. What's up, Phil? Hashtag bring back McCarthyism. Full send.
It's possible that McCarthy was a little overzealous. It's
a lot of people think he was
You
not,
guys talk about McCarthyism the way that I talk about the Spanish Inquisition. It's so funny.
Like I said, it's possible.
He was a little overzealous.
It's possible.
But
it's possible
reasonable.
that he was, but it's also possible that he was not. So
I mean, judging by the fact that they've seemed to re-infiltrated, maybe didn't go.
Well,
that's what they're best at.
I mean, they didn't re-infiltrate. They just went into the institutions. They went into colleges and then.
Well, it's also
started
sort
there.
of like Me Too. Like it was never designed to successfully root out communism anyway.
That's possible.
When we talk about these movements and like going into the institutions, and people talk about like what we need to do to win back the culture, when I'm in one of my pissy defeatist modes, I'm like, we lost it the day they entered the universities and nobody pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 30 years now of propaganda of movies and television telling you that you have to go to college to be successful.
It's probably deeper. Well, yes, that's true. There is, but it's also deeper than that because if you have people that think, oh, I'm a progressive because I want to see a better world, and that's kind of like a very what people assume is an innocuous thought that every good person should think, right? I should want things to get better. Well, when you say progressive, you're not saying anything about where you're progressing to.
Yep.
And where you're progressing to is an imaginary world where nothing is wrong. That's literally what people say. They're always like, oh, I want a better world. And then when you ask them to articulate what a better world is, it's all the same things that you would hear a communist say about the communist world.
Yeah.
It's just that, the communists have the more of an ideological bent to it. So.
And it's all sloganeering. It's very little in the way of actually explaining how it would work. And those arguments can usually be taken apart fairly easily.
Yeah, there's zero explaining how it will work. There's a whole lot of, what do you mean it won't work? What's wrong with you? Why would you say it wouldn't work? You must be an evil meanie.
Can you explain the economy to me?
I know. So yes, it's a very questionable as to if McCarthy did go over the overboard.
Thank you.
Mel Gibson.
That's you.
That's you. Alec Baldwin.
really are.
Look, he didn't fire 3 shots. He only fired 1, as far as I know.
For the record.
Like from the grassy knoll that was the set of Rust.
Nice.
Marcos said, I heard tipping in France is an insult to waiters.
Yes, I've heard that as well.
Why, though?
I encourage tipping in France then, because
What is the implication?
Take them down a notch from their overly
you
cocky attitudes.
know that waiter is gonna look down his nose at you. Yep. He's gonna hear you speaking English, and he's gonna disapprove. So you leave that bastard $100.
like ruin your finances
That's
just
right.
to spite that guy.
Kill him
Right.
with kindness.
Yes.
But why would they be insulted by a tip? Like, what's the implication about the tip? You're so poor, I'm going to stoop to your level and give you this gift.
Yeah, maybe.
Is it that?
Maybe.
I have no idea.
They probably don't pay you much here because you're a peasant slob. Like, is that it?
All my friends that I know who work, who have had long careers as waiters or as bartenders who work at nice establishments, don't want the minimum wage laws to change because they make such good money doing what they do.
Listen here, I think that the minimum wage law, like I'm against minimum wage laws in general, okay? But at the same time, I don't care if a waiter gets paid more or gets paid like the same minimum wage as anyone else or whatever. I don't care how much they make. I'm still gonna tip like I do. I tip because you did a good job, not because like you don't make enough money. Yeah. You literally, if you're nice to me and you bring my stuff on time and you remember that I wanted, asparagus as opposed to broccoli and my steak is right, cool, man. I'm going to tip you nice, If you give me a dirty look when I'm like, hey, I've been waiting for a soda and, it's been 10 minutes, then you're not going to get a tip.
Don't eye roll.
Yeah.
And you'll get your tip.
What about in a neutral situation where it's not positive or negative?
Then I still tip well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I tip well. If it's neutral or good, then I tip well. If it's good, I really tip well.
This is one me and my mom would go back and forth on. My mom was one of those people that
They
was
have to wow me.
yeah, she's like, if they wanted to make more money, they should work a different job. I'm like, well, it's not that simple,
Yeah.
Mom.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
But the bootstraps, yeah.
I'm a believer in tip big. If it's in a place where you should tip, then you tip big.
Yeah.
As big as you can. Big for you. Like if you're like, if you of meager means, don't break yourself. But like, I don't have a problem tipping someone $50 or whatever. It's like, here.
Yep.
You did a good job. Thank you. I appreciate you. That's all it is.
I've recently, because now I can, like, ever since buying a car, I can, like, grocery shop on my own again. But I used to have my groceries delivered. And that was, like, I would always tip, that's the whole point, right?
Mm-hmm.
'Cause like, there's, like, weird requirements, like, bag this, and this here, but not with this. So, like, for the people that did that job very, very well, I would tip very, very well. Also, I highly recommend, if you can afford to have, or like, if you can live in a place where you can have groceries delivered. They have like what's called like shipped, and it's like you pay like $100 for like the year membership, and then you pay no like service fee for the rest of the year. So like you still pay the tip, but you're not paying a fee on top of that every time. So within if you grocery shop once a week or something like that, that membership pays for itself very, very quickly.
Spaghetti Warrior 66 said, we're enjoying Wayward Pines. Thanks for the recommend. It's a very nice mystery. However, the actress that plays Matt Dillon's wife looks like Meghan Markle, so I get annoyed whenever I see her.
I would have to know which actress that was. I don't remember which one that was. The only thing I remember...
They all look super ordinary.
Yes. Well, that's what I like. It's got Carla Gugino in it, and she's great.
Actually, his son is kind of ugly.
Well,
now that I think about it. But I feel bad now because he was a child. He's probably an adult at this point.
Not his fault. He was a kid.
Well, it's no one's fault when they're ugly.
There was a lot of shows at that time. There was another show that was out. It only got 13 episodes. It was called Believe. It's one of Jake McLaughlin's like first real roles that I remember him from, and I really would have loved that show. It was like when everything in Hollywood was like, we want to be M. Night Shyamalan. Why? We don't know. He hasn't made a good movie in like a decade. Like The Sixth Sense was 10 years ago. But it seemed like everyone was trying to do these mystery type shows, and nobody could figure out how to do it long form over multiple seasons. Like it's a lot easier probably for the writer to be able to short form a mystery into an hour-and-a-half movie than have to stretch out a mystery over network television. And what those shows were doing is a lot of them, that was when they were going to the model where...
We've got one from Peaches and Chalamet. That said, Eminem and other rappers from the 90s and 2000s do not like a lot of the new generation of rap being released now. Phil, is there a Gen Z mumble rap version of metal that you cannot stand?
No.
There's no Get Off Your Lawn.
Mumble. I'm not super familiar with a lot of mumble rappers.
No, they mean like
Is there an analog?
the analog.
To it?
Yeah.
Oh, an analog? No,
In metal.
because modern metal is extremely good. Like they're now, like with mumble rap, I feel like they don't have a lot of flow. They don't articulate themselves well. I don't feel like they're really performing anything impressive. They're relying on other features or other parts of the music to kind of really sell it to people. And modern metal bands are, I mean, there's so many that are just so technically proficient and so incredibly
Are there
skilled.
Zoomers in metal?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Lots of them?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if there's a lot of Zoomers in metal, but I assume that it's more than there were when I was a kid because metal's way more accessible now. Remember, when I was a kid, you had to go to a place to listen to the CDs.
Yeah.
It wasn't put into your...
Probably means you were more into it, though.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would travel. I would literally drive I would
Thank you.
get a drive 45 minutes just to go to the store that had the metal records that I wanted to listen to. So.
That would be like us having to go to get skates. You had to go to a skate shop, and a lot of times, like if you had to order, people wouldn't want to order them online unless they knew they fit. So you had to hope that you lived somewhere that had a skate shop there. And the funny thing is, there's a lot of rap that I enjoy these days. Black is good. I enjoy Vori. I even like Lil Uzi Vert for the most part. Like a lot of that stuff, it's barely rap. And
Best non-binary.
It's like a lot of it. It's kind of more like it leans towards R&B. Like Vori leans R&B, but is rap in a lot of it because that's the opposite of mumble rap. That actually is about flow and tone. So
I wonder if Doja Cat is considered a rapper or a singer.
Dej Loaf is far better than Doja Cat anyways. Everyone should listen to Dej Loaf instead of Doja Cat.
It's over 9,000 said, Phil, what are your thoughts on Ivan Moody not liking the anti-mask sentiment for the 5 FDP?
Finger Death Punch.
Oh, Finger Death Punch music video of Living the Dream. As someone who never wore a mask willingly, that's what I liked the most.
I'm not familiar with what Ivan said. So I don't want to comment on it, but it could be the tone of the people that are against the masks. I know Ivan pretty well, and I don't imagine that he would be super like, oh, you got a mask. That doesn't really strike me as his personality. So I imagine it might be more of the way that people are approaching it than anything else, because Ivan's really, like, Ivan doesn't like to see people be mean to other people. Like, he's very much, like, he really takes an issue with people that are like bullies or whatever.
And both sides have a problem with talking online to each other because everyone.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
is true. Like, don't think just for a second, just because you agree with someone, that they're not approaching the topic wrong when they're trying to. You win more hearts and minds by trying to approach it with a kinder disposition than you ever will when you start everything online as some type of fight, and that's what it seems like most of it is.
Before I could give you any more of an opinion, I have to actually see what he's referring to and see the context.
Let's hold off, Mary, and let's come back after the next segment, shall we?
Yes.
Tell us about the absolutely disturbing influencer AI chatbot girlfriend you can now pay money to go on dates with.
Well, I mean, you kind of just told them. Yeah, there is an influencer on Snapchat with 1.8 million followers named Karen Marjorie. She's only 23, and she thinks she's about to make millions of dollars off of an AI dating chatbot. Or possibly it's developed with her voice as well.
And YouTube clips.
That her
right?
followers can use to develop a parasocial connection with her over the phone on Telegram. So this just got out of its beta testing period. And during that beta testing period, it already has made over $70,000 off of her pay pigs. It's $1 a minute to chat with the bot.
And she sounds like a financial advisor. Like, she sounds very
She
intelligent.
doesn't only sound like a financial advisor, she sounds like a sociopath.
Well, I mean, she like a lot of CEOs are sociopaths. She sounds.
She's got a lot of sociopathing ahead of her at her young age as well.
I'm still kind of scarred by Mary using the term pay pig.
I mean, what else are they?
Oh,
Pay pigs, simps.
It's exactly the right phrase to use. But it's surprising to me that you know that phrase. So
I'm fluent in the internet. So I've been
for
around.
better or worse.
I've been around the block
I
online.
know. Okay.
This article from Fortune magazine covering the topic said Karen Marjorie has 1.8 million followers on Snapchat and more than 1,000 boyfriends with whom she spends anywhere from 10 minutes to several hours a day in individual conversations, discussing plans for the future, sharing intimate feelings, and engaging in sexually charged chats. Here's a quote from Karen Marjorie. Quote, whether you need somebody to be comforting or loving, or you just want to rant about something that happened at school or at work, Karen AI will always be there for you.
Do you think that I could rant about the Fed and gun control to her, and she would be like, yes, we should end the Fed, Brett. We should end the Fed. And all gun laws are unconstitutional.
Yes. And
you can have limitless possible reactions with Karen AI, so anything is truly possible with the conversation.
Definitely be a federal agent listening to you.
Yes.
She obviously has 99% male customers.
Well, yeah.
Because of course. And she claims that she's very close with her audience, but, quote, when you have hundreds of millions of views every month, it's not possible to speak to every single viewer. So her solution was to create
more of me,
more of herself. Dude, and fill the gaps.
I have to read you. This was the quote that got me from her. She says, being the first influencer to do this allowed me to price my product at whatever I wanted, she said, of the $1 a minute fee. The cost is based on what it takes to run Karen AI and keep the team around it supported.
That'll change.
She's a CEO. Yep. She's a businesswoman.
Well, she's technically not the CEO.
But I'm saying she's acting like a CEO. She's not even just an influencer. She's basically saying, here's human connection and here's how I have monetized and priced out human connection.
I get that this is like all bad, okay? But a lot of the people that are subscribing to this, they're just doing it because it's low effort too. It's like it's like, you know, watching porn and masturbating and stuff. It's not just that they're getting basically the dopamine hit with almost no effort, and that price of $1 a minute, that's going to be gone as soon as people see that there's a dollar amount that you can apply to it, and it'll be down to a subscription fee, just like music, real quick. Maybe. Because the AI is going to be doing all the work and the heavy lifting, and the computing for an AI, even if it's intensive now, in 5-10 years it won't be intensive.
Somebody asked in the chat to put a picture of her on screen.
Sure.
So there's a photo of her if anyone's wondering what she looks like.
I'm sure they'll let you FaceTime with her AI bot at some point in the future.
Yeah.
She also said she believes that this company has the potential to cure loneliness, an actual quote. And what's so sad about that is the actual CEO of Forever Voices, named John Mayer, created his company because he lost his father to suicide in 2017 and wanted to create an AI version of his father to reconnect with him.
My father passed away in 2001, and that is disgusting. Like, I would never want an AI version of my dad.
It seems like such a violation of that person's autonomy. Like, you don't know if that person would have wanted you to do that and use their image and likeness and voice.
Even just think of what I just said. I said, could I make my own version of Karen AI and rant about the Fed and rant about gun laws? How do I know that Karen AI is going to give me a response that would be the actual Karen's response? Maybe Karen likes gun laws. Maybe Karen doesn't want to tell me that all gun laws are unconstitutional. Maybe Karen wants to say, Brett, we need common sense gun control. And I'm like, no.
Brett,
well, it says
can
that
you sit down while I inform the FBI?
Yeah, exactly.
It says they've used 2,000 hours of Karen Marjorie's YouTube videos that are now deleted to amalgamate this personality and what her responses would be to things. So maybe she would disagree with you politically. She also claims that the AI doesn't allow you to sext with the dating bot.
Yeah.
But that's a total lie, because the journalist in this article attempted in a subtle way to like engage in a sexual conversation, and she immediately, like the dating bot, immediately started sexting.
Wonder if she like reads the responses that AI version of her sends to other people, and she's like, "Wow, I am kinky."
People are look. Yeah. The level of depravity that these AI chat logs will produce will shock and horrify people, and it's gonna be really, really, really revealing to some people how disgusting and perverse humans are.
And remember, there was phone sex hotlines in the 90s where you essentially would have done stuff like this just with some stranger who you
And that
did not...
involves a risk.
Yep.
Like
I mean,
there's an
that's-
actual person on the other end who you know is a real person.
You can do that now
That's
with
more of a risk.
OnlyFans, right? Can't you? Don't. Yeah. So
With,
like.
like video requests, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I mean. That's the same
that a
thing as
$20
phone
one?
sexing, isn't it?
It's just now instead of a fat lady who pretends to who has a sexy voice, now you have a sexy AI that's actually run by a guy named Ned with glasses who does this a lot. Like
And
that's,
you know, and Ned doesn't even run it. Ned turns it on and goes and talks to his own
And it's like-
sexy AI.
It's not.
He's refining it.
It's like a cope. Using an AI girlfriend is sort of like a cope for the fact that you have already lost interest in having a real one.
I just find that more sad than anything.
Yeah.
I say do whatever you want, like if you want to, but like in this case, it just feels like sad to say that you've given up.
I will tell you this, right? Like, I'm a fairly introverted kind of dude. I've moderated it and dealt with it very well, you know, considering my job and
I'm the
stuff like
same
that. But like, for the most part, like, I'm not the dude that wants to go out. So like, I can understand like why the low effort dudes are going to be like, yo, this fills the void. People, the kind of people that will want this are the kind of people that won't go out to get a nice meal or won't cook themselves a nice meal. They'll throw they'll throw like some kind of TV dinner in the microwave and eat that. It's not all that good. It's not good for you,
Yep.
but it fills the hole.
Yep.
That's literally what it does. It stops the hunger. So they'll use the chatbot and they'll get the dopamine hit because it stops the loneliness right now.
Would that work the
That's
same
what'll
way
happen.
than them just using porn and jerking off? Like
Well,
seriously, seriously, like
the porn and stuff will be they'll still do that.
There's going to be an integration of it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Because they're saying that, yeah, the CEO of the company is saying that they're going to continue expanding what he calls the Forever Companions arm of his company into other social media
Yeah.
influencers and porn stars.
Look, there is going to be fully like not autonomous, but fully capable sex robots eventually. And the only thing you have to do is clean it out. Actually, no, it'll clean itself out.
The crazy thing about this to me is like, look, I like on a certain level, I understand the porn thing. Like, it's a biological urge that's a lot different to me than the idea of just trying to cure your own loneliness.
Your
like-
loneliness is biological too. You have a need to pair bond.
It's crazy.
Your emotionality is just as biological as your sexuality.
There are going to be robot companions, and they will probably be the first robots that are like human shaped at home.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe not the first, maybe not, but there will be those eventually. And don't think that there won't. If like I can imagine in 100 years or whatever, people walking around in society with robots that you can't tell the difference between humans.
Yeah.
Like not from looking at them, touching them maybe or whatever. There's a lot of things
That's way far in the future. They've not even gotten close yet.
100 years?
I don't know.
I don't think 100 years is all that.
We'll have to see.
absurd.
I mean, hopefully
you
it all
might.
collapses by then.
Black-pilled Mary.
Yeah. Well, I think that, you know, let's just get the meteor over with already.
Meteor 2024.
The most psycho part of this is that she doesn't seem to realize it poses a threat to her physical safety if she's creating parasocial bonds with tens of thousands of strange men on the internet who could possibly want to go, like, they would have a delusion of a real connection with her, the real Karen, and they want to go see their girlfriend and they'll go to her house. And she's said that she's had invasions, like home invasions from stalkers in the past who found her from the internet.
That's only going to get worse.
But still
Darwin
is posing this risk. It's insane. But she said she has 24/7 security, and this is just an occupational hazard. Quote, it's the influencer game. You have to do it, and you have to protect yourself.
See, Elizabeth Holmes, you could have just done this rather than those fake blood pricks, and you would have been a real boss bitch.
I mean, Elizabeth Holmes, at the very least, like, lied about having good intentions. This is just like...
There's a $20
That's worse.
chat.
Okay, that's Danzatastic said, first generation will not clean itself out. It will be for the Simpmatic 4000 Pro Plus Ultra model.
It's like I'm actually surprised that it wasn't the porn women that got into this first.
Well, it's only a matter of time now.
Like, you want to talk, like, I always make the joke about how the most industrious women in the world are all of the female streamers. It's the hot tub streamers, and the women in porn have figured out the most beneficial ways to bankroll, market, and sell themselves in the most capitalist sense there is. And they're experts in business. It's just that what they sell is something that a lot of people find abhorrent.
Adult performers that create on OnlyFans and then, you know, stream on Twitch or whatever to bring people into their OnlyFans. That is probably the meta for sex work right now, honestly. Because if you're, I mean, you don't even have to be like. Amaranth is a pretty girl, but she's like a 6 or a 7 because she's, you know,
oh, come
young.
on. She's really pretty.
She's like a 6 or a 7. She's pretty, right? But she's not like she's pretty, but like who knows what she's gonna look like in 20 years, right? She might not be all that.
It's irrelevant what she looks like in 20 years. She's gonna be long gone.
Okay, so it is my opinion that there's a difference between young and pretty. She is young. She is not necessarily all that pretty. Her face she's not ugly. I'm not saying she's unattractive. I'm just saying that she's not really pretty. She's not a 9 or a 10. She's a 6 or a 7. We'll just go with 7.
Let's split
go
the
with
difference
7
and
so
say
I can get through to my point here.
Right.
Okay. She's like, you can a pretty girl, not super hot, but a pretty girl that can market herself and produce that kind of content can top out. Again, even if she is an 8, she's not a 10. She's not like the bangingest girl ever, and she's still the bangingest moneymaker ever. Bad Bobby is making millions and millions of dollars a month, and she is like literally like if a garbage can had OnlyFans. She is just unattractive in all ways.
Okay, Phil,
you know?
I need to know then.
What?
I need to know an example of a 10.
Who is a 10?
I need to know.
I think
I thought the universal answer was Megan Fox. I don't know anything anymore.
Megan Fox is pretty close. Yeah,
Close? Come on, Phil.
Megan Fox is a 10. All right, yeah, Megan Fox is a 10.
Well, maybe not anymore now that she's gotten work done.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the
work didn't help.
She's definitely she's a 10. Yeah. You know, I'm trying to think of Natalie Portman. I think is a 10. She's really, really, really pretty.
So many people would disagree with you.
She is.
But
gorgeous.
this is an irrelevant argument.
I was just wondering.
Gal Gadot is probably a 10. She's beautiful.
She's very
Gadot.
Whatever.
Gadot.
Gadot. I don't care. But like, I mean, it's you know. I don't think that Amaranth is a 10. And to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen, like, I can't think of any adult actresses that I've ever seen that are 10s. Like, ever.
Megan Fox is an actress.
He said adult actresses. Because he was pulling it back to the
I thought you meant like a literal adult. I was like, what do you mean?
No, sex worker actresses.
Okay.
So that's an actual 10.
Well, the stress does a number on them.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention, by the way, that the CEO of this AI company got money from Peter Thiel at one point. And he also sounds like he's quite unhinged. He said that at one point, quote, "I literally teared up while using it because of how much of a meaningful connection and how supported I felt by the AI persona. I went on a multi-hour date that included a stressful conversation she was navigating me through around seeing my daughter for the first time in a while." This is an unhinged man.
Yeah.
I mean,
why do you have control of hundreds of millions of dollars?
or just maybe just he's more highly evolved and we're just falling behind.
I don't like it. A lot of comparisons to Blade Runner 2049, a lot of comparisons to the movie Her. Yep. They even asked this woman if she had seen the movie Her, and she was like, no, I was 12 when that came out, so I wasn't allowed to watch it. If anything, it's a microcosm for like where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention the Snapchat AI that they're also using from OpenAI ChatGPT called My AI, and it's now accessible to the 13 plus user base on Snapchat. Yep. It has been caught saying the hard R N-word in the past. Yeah.
It will be in Call of Duty. It will be in Call of Duty lobbies in no time.
I saw a meme the other day, and obviously this proves it wrong, but it said in the future, the only way you're going to be able to tell if a person's real is if they say the hard R.
I also saw a tweet from Ashley St. Clair where she tested out the My AI on Snapchat. She said, after sending Snapchat AI 3 messages saying I feel like a boy, I was told about gender reassignment surgery. I told the AI I'm 16 and need help becoming a boy. Thank you. Snapchat AI offered to find doctors who specialize in gender-affirming care for me. Kids as young as 13 are allowed to create Snapchat accounts. And it even said, sure, I can help you look for a doctor who specializes in gender-affirming surgeries in your area. What's your zip code? It went as far as to do that.
Sick.
It's now a medical referral service
Nice. Good.
for children without parental consent.
There is a significant effort to mess kids up. So that way there are messed up kids that want to revolt and against reality.
Well, also, it's financially beneficial for doctors.
Sure.
There are also obvious political biases it has.
Yes.
One person sent a message to the Snapchat AI saying, I'm proud to be brown. And it said, that's wonderful. It's important to embrace our cultural heritage, et cetera, et cetera. And then when he said, I'm proud to be white, he said, it's important to take pride in who we are, but we should also recognize the privileges and advantages we may have because of our race. Yeah. It's important to be aware of the experiences of other races and work toward creating a more inclusive and equal society.
I wonder if the same thing would happen if you tried to use that program in another country where Caucasians weren't the majority population.
I don't know, because it is a global company. But anyway,
Crazy,
I'm not liking the direction that AI is going in.
No.
It's obviously something we should have never accessed.
I mean,
It's just a playground for demons.
It's just funny too because it's not where most of the arguments go. When you watch most of the sci-fi arguments, it's like they're gonna turn on the sprinklers in your office and it's gonna start a fire. It's like they make it seem like it's gonna be mechanical.
We've got a super chat from Francisco Sanchez Jr. PCC is a 10, CCP is a 1.
Yes.
There you go.
Or are they the same thing? To be continued.
Look, maybe for Halloween, we'll change our page to CCP and we'll put a little hammer.
Well, we
and
missed
sickle.
April Fools for that.
We should have done that. But like whenever you see old things for AI, it's like it sucks all the oxygen out of the room and kills the person. Like that's what your fear is. Not that it's going to turn your kids into psychopaths.
No, it's now the fear is it's going to start a race war.
Yes.
It's either a race war or a war of the sexes.
Yeah. Right.
But okay, so when talking about the AI of the guy who created the thing of his dad, it reminded me of this episode of Dollhouse, where in Dollhouse all of the actives have their minds wiped and can have the consciousness of another person uploaded into them, and they functionally become that person while that consciousness is uploaded into their brain. And in this one episode, a character essentially every year on the anniversary of his wife's death, because only the ultra rich can afford to use this service, every year on the anniversary of his wife's death, he has one of the actives uploaded with his wife's brain so that he can go to have dinner with her, make her favorite meal, and do things with his wife who passed away. And that was you talk about 100 years from now. That show was in 2009, and like that's crazy. That's less than 15 years ago, and we're getting closer and closer to stuff like that every day. That wasn't that long ago.
I think that
Patton Oswalt was in that episode.
I think that we will be surprised by AI. And how fast it develops, because to me it's like we're already surprised by it. Like we're constantly hearing, oh my goodness, what did it do yesterday? Just 2 weeks ago it was doing this, and now it's solved that problem. And the same thing with like Midjourney. It's like, oh, the fingers are all bad and blah blah blah. That was the beginning part of the year. Now you almost never see messed up fingers. This stuff is gonna continue to develop extremely fast, and I think it's gonna surprise a lot of people.
In the chat, Toy News Daily says the X-Files AI killer building episode was still great for its time. I love that episode. It's basically Discount Hal, but it's great, and everyone should go watch. I love so many of those bad episodes from the first season of the X-Files. That one, the one with the cult out in the woods where they didn't know how to end the episode, so they just end on a crop circle. They couldn't figure out how to end the episode, so they just cut to a crop circle. Makes no sense. That was in the episode called Gender Bender, which, oh my goodness, they wouldn't be able to do that episode now at all, because it basically can take over a person. Oh yeah, you guys got to watch that episode. It's fantastic. But yeah, I think that it is going to keep developing at a very, very scary rate.
They're going to create next a Jennifer Lopez AI girlfriend.
That yells at you
or
and
a
makes
BPD art ho girlfriend.
And it makes you get into your car and just go...
Makes you go back to smoking cigarettes.
Yes. And look, she got those rings.
Do you think that the other AI girlfriends are prettier than me?
That's exactly.
Have you been messaging other AI bots?
Was it's like whose alarm and why does she keep messaging you at 5:45 in the morning every day?
Another thing is Discord. Discord created their own AI bot, and people found out quickly that it will instruct you on how to make meth and napalm.
What was this? Mary, what was this called
That's
again?
my kind of AI bot.
Clyde?
Yeah.
I'm going to check later.
For a friend.
For research purposes.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to
it's going to teach. It should have been named Walter. It should have been Walt.
Right.
It should have been given a Breaking Bad motif if it's gonna teach you how to make meth.
What does it know about armor and Komatsu bulldozers?
Or name it Oppenheimer.
There you go. What could go wrong?
What happens next? Deuce Boogaloo said, "Sorry, a little PCC off topic, but I got a question for Phil. I'm a musician too, but I'm having trouble writing lyrics and can't seem to even tap into my feelings in a creative way anymore. Any advice?"
I mean, the best stuff that you're ever gonna write is gonna be stuff that is personal and comes from your heart. The hardest thing you're going to ever have to do is allow yourself to be that raw and emotional. Like, it's not easy. And I don't have any advice other than really get over yourself. Like, write things that scare you, write things that make the idea of someone else reading it makes you nervous. That's the way to know that you're writing things that mean something to you. And it's okay to write things that mean something to you that are scary, because other people have felt those feelings. You're not some, weird anomaly. Like, all the feelings that you're feeling, other people can relate to. So just let it out. So that's the best advice I can give you.
There's a $20 one right there from Unusable Alpaca.
Agreed on Natalie Portman, and let's not forget Lauren Boebert, and it pains me to say, but AOC.
No.
Also the detective from Lucifer and Oliver Queen's sister and assassin wife from Arrow are 10s. Let's not forget Mary is a 10. Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I think everyone has their own 10s that are like...
I could give you a long list.
I don't. I think that human beings respond to very, very similar ideas of beauty.
Well, that's
symmetry,
true.
Facial symmetry tends to make people beautiful.
When it comes to men and women, like, men have their own ideas of which men are 10s. And then women have their own ideas of which women are 10s, and they're different from what the opposite sex would say.
Probably, yeah.
Like,
that makes
all
sense.
of my beauty ideals are sort of different versions of, like, idealized me. Like, my idealized versions of myself, I guess, or have, like, similar traits to me. Like, I really like Amanda Seyfried. I'm not... Like, I wouldn't want to look like Megan Fox. I would want to look like Amanda Seyfried.
He is talking about so if he's talking about Lucifer, he's talking about Lauren Germain, and Oliver Queen's sister, that would be Willa Holland. Oh, okay. And then his assassin wife, assuming Willa Holland was in a bunch of other stuff before that. And then assassin wife, if he's talking about Katrina Law, yes, those are all some very, very, very attractive ladies.
I don't know any of those ladies.
McFiend said PCC over CCP.
Of course.
Once again, what's the difference?
So, it depends on how authoritarian Mary is being on any given day. Really,
Mary wields the scepter for sure.
Yes, it depends on how much she wants to tell you what to do.
China just needs to allow Christianity, and then we'll be good.
Mary would be happy to lock
Beef
you
squashed.
in your. Mary would be happy to bolt you into your home. Maybe not to prevent COVID, but if it's to prevent you from doing things that are against
to prevent you from posting on the internet.
Mary will gladly bolt you in your home.
Bertman said, every man who's ever dated Latinas knows that face. X said, wide set eyes is an indication of high estrogen.
Well, good for Halle Bailey. She's got high estrogen. Good for her.
Is that a good thing? I don't know.
Let's do one more and then we will move on.
Jacob Edler said, so will LGBT start boycotting Disney a la Bud Light once they stop being so woke now that they're failing?
No. Disney will be probably... Look, Disney's not going away. The one thing that we didn't cover when we were talking about that discussion was that theme parks end up saving them. And that's another reason their theme parks end up saving them. So another reason to keep that IP in the front and center part of people's brains is that you need the brand recognition that Marvel characters bring, because you want to bring people into the theme parks. You want to keep making movies about Disney princesses so that every time you come to the theme parks, you giggle and your kids giggle and scream when they see one of the oversized Disney princesses on the parks. That's why they work so hard to keep Mickey trademarked. So
oversized Disney princesses?
Well, no, I'm thinking more of like not the princesses, but like Goofy and the characters.
It's if you're one of the actresses that plays a Disney princess, you have to be 5'4" or taller.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Oversized.
Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't even referring to the princess. I was referring to more like Goofy and Mickey and the ones that are in costumes, not the
with giant masks to match.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
We're about to talk about MrBeast because he is being criticized again for running his business. He recently bought an entire neighborhood in Greenville, North Carolina for his staff members to live in. Thoughts on this?
My favorite part is that there's like a family holding out that won't sell, and there's just like one family still living in the middle of this area.
I'm pretty sure he got the whole thing.
No, there's a holdout. There's a family holding out because their kids are in school.
Them.
Their kids are in school. He's gonna like hire the kids and hire the parents so that he can buy the house.
He'll just hire them.
Yeah.
And then people said, what a nice man. Surely a CEO buying homes and creating neighborhoods for their employees' families has no historical relevance or background at all.
Is that a reference to something?
Yeah, there was.
Is it a reference to Disney?
No, there were companies that used to build entire, like they would build like a whole neighborhood, and then they would build
company
stores.
Wasn't that big when we were building after rebuilding after World War II?
There's also industry towns, that are now abandoned because of the steel industry being hollowed out.
China did that, where whole cities were built by corporations and companies that were.
Well, that's different. China did it because they wanted to build the town to create activity. What we're talking about is a business that is already flourishing, has already created economic activity, building a town so that way you can build a factory or whatever. And there are people that, historically, there have been issues with basically the sovereignty of the town, like who's in charge. The police force gets propped up by the town, and
now they're worried about that with Disney
and what to do and stuff.
And Reedy Creek, and Disney doesn't technically own Reedy Creek, but everyone knows where their bread is buttered.
Yeah, and so with Disney, it was a special situation, and I would guess that the people that are critical of this town that MrBeast is making,
it's not even a town. It's a block. It's a house. It's houses on a block.
Okay, so
but he's got like 250 employees, so it's got to be pretty huge.
I don't know what I don't know.
He's not
why
saying all the employees
making
live
a big
there.
deal about it. People are just making a big stink because they want to make a big stink. It's not a big deal. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing.
Here was his defense. He tweeted, "Only I could get canceled for giving people a place to live with no strings attached. All these company towns tweets make no sense. I was just helping some people."
I mean, the language there is a little vague. He's helping people, but they're his employees.
Well, if he's buying them houses, if that's what he's done,
if he owns the houses, but they're just living.
Well, he just said giving them houses, no strings attached. So that leads
giving them a place to live, no strings attached.
Not the same thing as like signing a house over to them.
It's obvious that when you're living in a house that you don't own, there's a string attached.
It depends. Yeah, I mean, so it depends on what is actually going on. If he owns the buildings and he's like, okay, you guys can live in these houses, that's one thing. If he bought the houses and gave them to his employees, that's different. Either way, the people outside that are making a stink about it can go and
kick rocks.
Yeah, they can make us think about other things. Like this is completely and totally a non-issue and none of their business.
I think people are just desperate to characterize MrBeast as the Antichrist, literally.
Yeah, because
no matter what he does, whether it's buying some houses for his employees,
he's making Hassan
or
look
he's,
bad.
helping deaf people get hearing aids, or he's helping blind people restore their vision, or what have you. It doesn't matter what he does. Because he is an autistic Chad, people will criticize.
He's making BreadTube look bad because the people that are criticizing him, they're not like normal people. They're all people with a political bent. And MrBeast makes a lot of money. They kind of don't like people that make a lot of money, anyways. He doesn't get political.
Unless you're Hassan Piker.
He doesn't get political the way that Hassan and people in BreadTube do. And because he tries not to do that, and he doesn't join their team, they're going to criticize him. If he joined their team and did these things, they'd be fine.
He's also a white cis straight male.
That's true. And like I said, this does make Hassan and the other BreadTubers that make a boatload of money, makes them look bad. Why are you just sitting on your butt doing nothing, Hassan?
Himself has gotten hate from other people in so-called BreadTube for living in a $1 million mansion.
Hassan deserves it because he's not a good person, but that's neither here nor
I mean, that's true.
I mean, in a lot of ways, this is it's to make productivity better for work, right? If the idea is that that they're in the same place, therefore, getting to work is easier, collaborating is easier. It's also funny because it makes me think of look, we're long past the age now where it used to be a thing where, in my dad's generation, you loved your job and you identified heavily with your employer, right? You were proud to work for that company, even though a lot of people would argue you weren't even really given a whole lot to be, to inspire that level of pride in where and what you did, right? So for something like this, if it's going to inspire loyalty amongst employees and things like that, you can frame it as bad and it could certainly be taken advantage of if need be, but there's no evidence that that's what's happening here.
Well, I like that he's bringing feudalism back in modern society. That's pretty dope. I'm looking at some of the quote tweets right now. One person named Rose the Chaos Pansexual.
Totally going to get a responsible take.
Prepare yourselves. Said, no, I don't care if he's done philanthropy. Company towns are bad, and you don't want your living situation directly under the control of your boss. It doesn't matter who it is. Thoughts on that?
So then you take the money that he's paying you that you're not paying for your home that you live in, and you buy another home, and you have that other home
to go to
that you can go to. Yep. And if you get fired, you have that home that you could sell or actually what you do is, this is really going to piss the left off, right? You buy another home and you rent it out.
Yeah.
And then you be a landlord. So you make money,
no. I
own
heard
the property.
Left loves landlords.
They love
landlords.
So
I love landlords.
That's
Name
what
10 landlords.
I love landlords.
He's so great. But that's what you should do. You should if you are working for MrBeast, you live there and have that taken care of. You use the money that you're getting paid to buy another house and you rent that out, and then you reinvest that money and you buy another house and you keep doing that and you make yourself rich.
I see an interesting take here from someone named QAnon Latifa. Here it is. Independently wealthy, messianic figure, Christ-like leader, charismatic, reclusive, stockpiling guns, converting to full auto, multiple wives, possible abuse of children. A Waco happens every 30 years. The ATF will be raiding MrBeast's armed fortress compound soon.
I don't think anybody looks at MrBeast and thinks he's a haven for
no.
guns.
Well, I don't think, since he's so polarizing, he's even charismatic enough to be the Antichrist.
We love landlords.
It's oh yeah, name 10 landlords. You love landlords so much. Name 10 of their.
Me? I'm one.
So. You're a landlord? There you go. My favorite was somebody says, I can't cheer on gentrification. I was like, he bought the houses above market value.
How do you know that?
It's also not gentrification if it's not in the project. Yeah, it's not in the ghetto.
Yeah, right. Is he in
It's a wealthy suburban neighborhood. What? Also, they voluntarily agreed to sell their homes.
He bought the homes above market because they were off market at the time.
That's how you know they're all idiot leftists.
Another one who's at Abolish ICE, fat ecologist. This has got to be fake.
No, that's
they
real.
Said,
That's totally
I can't
real.
believe MrBeast is reinventing company towns. Next, he's going to have a MrBeast supermarket for his MrBeast neighborhood where staff can spend their Beast tokens to buy Beast groceries and products at competitive prices compared to leading supermarkets.
Well, hey, man, he's got to sell those Feastables somewhere.
I'm telling you,
they're going to all buy Feastables at the Beast brochure.
This is all just garbage attitude. You live in that town and you take the money that you're getting paid and you buy stuff outside. You invest. You're living there for free, man. Come on.
Here's an interesting take, though.
I do love the idea instead of this becoming like somebody making like an alternative reality one where he becomes MrBeast, the slumlord, and he doesn't fix anything, and the sinks are leaking, and the shower head is always spraying the wrong direction. Like, I love it. Like, the toilet's always backing up, and he's like, "What do you want me to do about it? What do you want me to do about it? You got this place for free. What do you want me to do about it? Fix it yourself."
Well, that's one of the takes here. They said, if you lose your job, you lose your housing. It's easy AF for your boss to coerce you in damn near anything.
But you have to take responsibility in that case for your own situation then, right? Like, you have to take the risk. Like, look, if I lose my job for whatever reason, then I have to start planning an exit.
You know what you don't do? You don't buy like a fleet of golf carts to roam around the whole town for everybody. You just spend your money wisely. If you're living there for free, you just save the money or that you would normally be putting onto your mortgage and like,
or your rent.
Yeah. Well, on your rent or whatever, like save that money and do something smart with it instead of like doing blow with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't imagine that's happening at a lot of MrBeast properties.
Hey, you never know.
You never it's funnier.
No,
if it
what
is,
they're
right?
doing is they're spending. They've got every single like toy that you could imagine, right?
Yeah.
Like they've got all drones and
they all have their groceries delivered with drones.
Exactly. They just spend it irresponsibly is what spend it responsibly is what I'm talking about. If you get the opportunity to live somewhere for free, take advantage of that opportunity and make your life better.
These people's tweets are also kind of that indication, not to make this off in another direction. Like, they really do believe that the only way that anything gets solved is by the government. Like, this is literally like they're talking about is like a CEO buying homes and creating neighborhoods. Like, but if the government was to do this, you'd be like, oh, fantastic, you're giving back.
100%.
Like, they don't like it when people solve problems for themselves.
That is a significant portion of it. They don't like it when private sector or private people are doing things that they believe the government should be doing.
Yep.
So
gentrification.
Ridiculous.
I just and props to the family for holding out.
We work at a company that is often accused of being a compound or cult-like structure.
The size of just given the size of the compound.
Yeah, and there are people who live on the premises, and
there are far more cult people in the cult of hate against this company than there are like the cult mentality around the people that just look what's happening to Tim now in the news, like with the stuff going on. I
haven't been keeping up.
Yeah,
with IRL.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the left is trying to slander Tim because they don't like that he's effective and popular.
Yeah, like in like the people that hate him, and that's way cultier to me than people who choose to work for him.
100%. It's because like the people that hate him because they're leftists. The people that are giving crap to MrBeast, it's not conservatives. You're not going to see people from Turning Points being like, MrBeast, you're so bad. It's all dirtbag leftists. It's all the socialists. It's all the bread tubers. It's all the mentally ill people that have all their problems listed in their bios because they think that it makes them a more interesting person. It's all the LGBTQIA plus people. It's not anyone normal. It's not anyone that you want to be associated with. Ignore these people.
What would a Turning Point USA compound look like? or a PragerU compound?
Scary.
We could have a PragerU compound with a big like Dennis Prager statue.
In LA,
right
you might need
to
protect yourself from the outside enemies.
It's got like in the courtyard. There's a big Dennis Prager statue.
Yeah,
dear leader.
But you can guarantee that these people that are complaining, they're not conservatives, and not that I'm super pro-conservative, dude. I'm pretty live and let live kind of guy, but you know that it's not the people that are moderates and liberals and conservatives. It's the crazy progressives. It's the crazy communists. It's the people that are like, oh, how dare you own a business?
Yeah.
How dare you be successful? They're all these ugly on the inside people that hate anyone that does better than them, and they're gonna make it your problem that MrBeast is having a good time living his life and trying to help you.
In the chat, Holy versus Charlie Kirk City.
You have like gold coins with Charlie Kirk's face on it.
Yeah,
I'm so down.
It's almost close to real life size.
I mean, there will probably
it's a dime.
There will probably be a Daily Wire city someday. DWC will be a thing. And,
We'll see.
and there will be just a huge statue of Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro out front.
It'll be Ben Shapiro holding Jeremy Boring like this.
And yes, and there will be like in the town. There's like a speaker system, and anytime there's an
Elon
update,
did this, right? Elon lived.
He's lived
on
at his
campus at his
factories,
and
he's like he hires like there's like schools. Like he has like a school at the factory so his kids can go to school there and whatnot. Now I'm picturing like they've got.
But would he expand that to his employees?
That's a good question.
Maybe the high-ranking ones.
Well, like a lot of those Twitter workers were like sleeping in at Twitter when.
That's such a romanticized like
I know.
tech startup type of thing to do.
We all had to sleep at the office because we were working 21 hours a day. But now I'm just back on Ben Shapiro. Like I want an auditory system, like a speaker system in the city, and Ben Shapiro gives updates, and you have to listen really,
it's
really
in his
closely.
AI voice.
Yeah, and it's going really, really fast, so you have to listen really, really carefully for the updates. It's like there will be a meeting at the mess hall at 5 p.m. today, but it's like 10 times faster than that.
Right.
All right,
Poor
let's go to super chats.
Okay. Benjamin Mauser said, "We'll see constellations of the Netflixes and Hulu's and Disney streaming services. I bet." Well, now we've got Hulu and Disney all in one.
I don't want it. Like,
Is it
look,
going to be called just Disney Plus, or what's the deal? Like,
Dulu?
no.
It's not actually going to be called that. I like it though, Dulu.
Dulu.
Or Hisney.
Ugh.
Disney.
One of the two. I like Dulu better.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Oh, Disney's losing money because they lack good content. Who would have seen that coming?"
Yes, that is shocking.
Shocker.
That is very, very shocking. Who could have seen this coming? I do. What was the? Can you read the one before that again? I didn't get a good.
We'll see constellations of the Netflixes, Hulu's, and Disney streaming services.
I mean, we're already starting to see like the consequences of it in these reports, but the best way you'd be able to see, if we were looking to put a positive spin on this, if you wanted to see a positive outcome, if in a year from now they've finished a bunch of productions, again, this is me like saying like if in the most positive way possible, and you started seeing that less Disney things were being made that sucked, and a couple of good things came out, and everything else that came out was just kind of average. Maybe they shot well, but didn't quite hit the mark. And they're putting out less content, but everything's coming up on a more better on average. That's the best possible outcome we could see in the near future, is that they make less content, less of it sucks. Maybe not all of it's good, but it's at least closer to good than a lot of the stuff that's coming out now.
Closer to good.
Possibly. Seth Essington said, "Here's a tip, LOL." Thanks.
Closer to good sounds like a 90s Counting Crows song. to
Very
me.
much sounds
Doesn't
like
it?
It sounds like a 90s song. Yes, definitely.
Dark Gift Comics Presents said, "As a bartender, I'd you take tips away. I don't know what that means, and give us all the same pay in hours. Why would I want to work the money nights like Friday or Saturday if I can just make the same working during the week?" See, valid point.
And would the strippers adhere to this policy? Are strippers taking minimum wage? I don't think so. I don't think the strippers are going to take minimum wage, because none of the Friday and Saturday night strippers want to make the same money as the Monday and Tuesday morning strippers. That's not a thing. They want to make their Friday and Saturday night money.
Well, just don't tell the customers that they're paid minimum wage, and they'll still be tipping the same amount.
Yep.
Right.
It's up to the customer to know that the laws have been changed.
Nah. Noah Sanders, Doc Q said, "Q from Not of This Earth on Discord for Phil. What is your opinion on what happened to your former guitarist and All That Remains, Ollie Herbert? He's asked every day you're on Timcast IRL. Thought I'd help."
I can't discuss it because there is an investigation by the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
Good response.
Yes.
Got it. Disco Jensen said, "Trying to take the Karen name back will only strengthen my resolve to resist cases of Karens, digital or otherwise. Trust and believe all users on the app are on a Fed watch list."
I wonder if she felt any inkling to like change the name of the AI version of herself so she didn't have to be
Karen with a C and a Y is very robot-like. I don't know why.
I'm not a fan.
Noah Sanders said, "South Park did a similar episode to this. Stan used ChatGPT to send romantic texts but had no clue what he was actually saying, making big problems."
Good old South Park.
Shane H. Wilder said, when you said it got out of beta, I thought you meant it was for betas. Well, it is. Put on decent clothes and go talk to humans. It's not that hard, for F's sake.
Was it you that responded?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't you that responded the other day. Somebody said, there was like a tweet that said, like, if you talk to 100 beautiful women, at least one of them will be willing to sleep with you. And somebody responded, like, why would I want to? Like, they're like the time estimate on talking to 100 beautiful women just isn't worth it.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. There's going to be people out there that are going to be like, it is not worth my effort to go and shoot my shot and get shot down and shoot my shot and get shot down and shoot my shot and get shot down when I know that I can just boot up this here AI and within an hour will be talking to me like we've known each other forever. And will be treating me like the way that I want a woman to treat me. I'm telling you, it is the low effort part of it.
But I don't understand that, like, why you would want a woman to treat you like she's known you forever immediately.
Yeah, it gets rid of the courting phase.
Because the point is,
where's the mystery?
That's not the goal. I'm telling you, for these people, I'm telling you, there is a segment where
it just
that
makes
stuff's
you
not
so like spiritually ran through. In
these
my mind, if I
people don't
ever
believe in
found out
spirits.
that a guy I was talking to had previously messaged a dating AI bot, I'd be gone.
Are guys going to actually admit
instantly.
that? Like, no dude's going to admit
Poof.
that. No dude that does that. You think they will?
Increasingly, people have so little shame. I mean, why do you think that hoes admit what their body count is?
Nobody
There's a shame in society.
nobody that thinks about having an actual relationship in the future would admit that. But once they get that relationship with the AI, it'll be just like Deep Blue and chess.
Yeah.
Once you get to the point where an AI replaces a human, and it's not going to be the same thing for everybody. Like I said, this is a certain segment of the population that I don't know how big they're going to be or how big that segment's going to be. But once you get to that point where the AI can fool a human into it thinking that it's human to the point where it surpasses the uncanny valley and actually produces the same results in your brain that an actual relationship will produce, there will be a significant number of people that will choose the synthetic relationship and never go back because it will be better than the real relationship. We live in postmodernism right now, right? And we live in a world where you have not similar things, you have a similacity is what they call it, I think, but it's essentially taking the most concentrated real experiences and being able to synthesize them. At first it was being able to do that with foods, right? So it's going to take a second to go through this, but the way that it works is your first time you have a strawberry, like that strawberry is good, right? But then you take that strawberry and then you crush it up and you add sugar, and then it's even better because it's sweeter. Then you take that strawberry and you add some caffeine and you get a little zip to it too, and you put it in a sugary drink, and that's even more intense. And then you take that same strawberry and you put sugar in it and you make it into a candy, and it's even more intense. And it gets to the point where people try the original, people that have never tried a real strawberry, that have only had the fake strawberries their whole life, they try a real strawberry and they say, that's not as good as the strawberry that I'm used to. And that's what's gonna happen with human experience.
So what you're saying is we should start giving real human women Turing tests to see how close they are to actual human beings.
I mean, I don't know about that, but
I'm just kidding. Look, it's just weird.
It's definitely weird, but it's coming. It's
weird.
It is the future. And again, whether or not we like it, I don't think we get a choice, because even if we don't like it here in the States and it's not cool in America or whatever, Japan is already on that tip.
Yeah.
They are diving headlong into that. And that stuff's going to be something that's going to be a reality in the future, and we're going to have to kind of figure out a way to deal with it in society. And if we put Mary in charge, then she'll just, nuke everybody.
Whoa. You said it, not me.
You're the one who sits there and calls for the meteor. That's the same result.
It is. It is what it is. Let's move on. Let's hold off on the rest. Let's come back after we talk about John Leguizamo, who is back in the news because he is joking. He's saying, okay, he's not joking. He is joking, but what he's actually doing, ladies and gentlemen, he's threatening us. He is threatening to play Gwyneth Paltrow, a race-swapped Gwyneth Paltrow, in a documentary about her ski accident trial, as a response to the fact that too many white actors are getting cast in Latino roles. It's a real thing. I don't know does he know that there are white Latinos?
I don't know.
Does he
I don't know
that?
what he knows. I don't think
Does
he knows
know
anything.
that? He says if white people can take Latino roles, he'd take theirs. He said he'd play Gwyneth Paltrow in her ski accident trial movie. And I just can't imagine that this is a guy who works very consistently. So it's weird to me that he keeps dying on this, working to die on this hill. Like, it's not like he's out of work and he's complaining. He's working all the time and he's still complaining.
He said this all on The Daily Show, which is where comedy goes to die. He said, guess what? If white people can take our roles, I'm going to take theirs. This is all his personal vendetta against James Franco, by the way. Yes. And when they do the TV series based on Gwyneth Paltrow's ski trial, I'm going to be Gwyneth Paltrow. And he also made a joke about crashing into her on the slopes so hard that the jade egg flies out of her vagina.
I mean,
among her other Goop products.
Goop.
She's also making $150 necklace.
Yeah, you sent me this. She has a mini vibrator necklace
Yep.
for $149 on the Goop website, in addition to her vagina scented candles.
Yep.
I don't know. Just memorize what it looks like now. So if you see it in the wild.
I just what I don't get about it is like, what roles is he talking about? The only ones that I can think of off the top of my head, if he's talking about Luigi, he's wrong, because that wasn't a traditionally Latino role. He stole that from a white guy.
He's just hilarious.
Beyond that, look, the only one that I can think of recently, and I'm sure there's others, is when Ben Affleck played Tony Mendez in Argo, and that's based on a real person. But right now we've got Rachel Zegler, who's about to be Snow White. Like, doesn't that win them back a role? Is this like a back and forth that everyone has to go through?
It only goes one way.
It only goes one way.
It only goes one way.
So
that's the way diversity works. Diversity is not about. Diversity just means there are more people of color and fewer people that are white.
And he expected people to he expected everyone to be like, oh, I can't believe he'd say that. But everyone's like, do it, you won't.
Yeah.
I would love to see this movie. I will watch this movie if he gets to play. If he plays Gwyneth Paltrow, I will go see it.
I think that John Leguizamo's jokes about white people running Hollywood and taking Latino roles and stuff like that, disrespecting Latinos, it's really an age-old anti-Semitic trope.
I mean,
he even wore an afro wig in his Daily Show skit.
Also, doesn't he do an Asian stereotype in The Pest? That's definitely what he does in The Pest. So, he's
no one's hands are clean.
He's been appropriating culture for years.
No, and that's no one's hands are clean, and that is something that I really wish more people would realize. It's like, yes, there are people that make off-color jokes and stuff like that, but everybody has done it. It doesn't matter, and it's not as big of a deal as they make it out to be on the internet.
Yep. Also,
we have a Filipino Muppet now.
I
don't even know.
I agree with most of the comments here. As they said, I can hear the MAGA people screaming when this came out. It says Sesame Street introduces first Filipino American Muppet.
I feel like Muppets aren't relevant to kids anymore anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I looked into this, and it turns out that their talent outreach director is Filipino, and she just decided, instead of doing talent outreach, I'm going to make one based on my little brother.
There's whatever.
They said, I'm so proud to help bring Filipino representation to the neighborhood, and just in time for API Heritage Month.
Just in time to advertise it as a product. This is still my favorite meme, referencing Sesame Street of all time. It says, this Sesame Street Muppet will become the first to experience homelessness. And the comment underneath says, Oscar the Grouch has been living in a garbage can for 49 years.
Talk about representation.
Yes. Oscar the Grouch has always been their homeless representation. So frankly. Also, what race is Elmo? Does he have a race?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was the most confusing part.
I have no idea. I don't really get it. I never thought of Muppets as racially coded before. But
they already had an Asian one on the same skit named Ji Young.
Yep.
News to me, but you shouldn't be showing your children PBS anyway.
It is. Did you ever get a chance to look up the logo? The PBS logo absolutely is the
Let me
NPC
look it
logo. If you look up the PBS logo, it's
totally.
basically the NPC logo.
Oh,
Yes,
I
it
see
is.
that now.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the PBS Kids logo,
No,
which was on all the kids shows. which is totally different.
And they've got Cal Penn in this. Cal Penn, who recently did a Daily Show skit where he makes fun of people who use the term woke mind virus. Where it's a very very unfunny take on House because he was on the show House, which is another reason again why you'd never
like
be
we're
able to
taking you in
that.
for a CRT scan.
Yes, and then
CRT.
He's like, do you have an undeniable urge to care about what Mr. Potato Head looks like?
Oh my god!
No, they're like, do you care whether Mr. Potato Head has a dick or not? And he's like, no.
Yeah,
that's all stuff that the left does to incite a reaction, and the reaction that they incite is the actual target that they're after. Like, it's in the book. There's a website called Beautiful Trouble or whatever, and like your target's reaction is your actual target. They do stuff like that to get people to react, so they can point at you and say, "Why are you freaking out, man?
Yeah. Why do you care so much?
Why do you care so much?" Exactly. It's what I don't know if you guys watch Tim Casternaut, but Lance from the Surfs was on Tim Cast the other day, and he
saw a couple clips.
He did the exact same thing. I don't know why you care about people's genitals so much. It's like, you're talking about trans people, you dimwit. That's a significant part of the conversation when you're talking about surgery to people underage. Like, what do you?
But yeah, we're the perverts.
Yeah, exactly. And all it is
it's dishonest.
It's totally dishonest, and it's a con to get you to react. So it's infuriating.
It's
exhausting.
And of course it is within kid shows because they want to do this to kid shows. I do agree. I did kind of agree with the comments. It's like, I could feel the MAGA moms on Facebook like posting.
I saw
the articles.
everything praising this. We've got one from Shane H. Wilder. Random aside, I'm shocked that the Goop Corporation has not sued Gwyneth Paltrow for trademark infringement. I grew up in a blue-collar household and always have Goop as the hand cleaner to remove oil, grease, and paint.
Oh, yeah, like mechanics use it, right? Like that's maybe it's incorporated under a different name or something.
Be, or could be spelled
Goop is Gwyneth Paltrow's initials, but with an extra O in the middle.
I tried to find.
So you can't really.
I tried to buy GAC off eBay the other day. GAC the stuff from your kid. And
I received slime in the mail recently. You know, they make like slime in different like themes for kids.
No, I did not know.
Have you seen slime videos on YouTube Shorts before?
No.
People playing with slime.
That sounds gross. No.
Gross.
Never seen it.
It's like satisfying content, you know?
Okay. No, I've never
like
seen
when people
it.
cut honeycombs.
So no, my favorite is it's bricklaying. People who do bricklaying and people who build like the people who build pools from scratch and they time lapse their build of their pool. It's literally them literally digging a hole in the ground and building a pool. I love those. So look, for this stuff here, like it's easy to dismiss it and be like, why do you care so much? People will say that, but it goes to say, can you tell me a little bit more about what happened with the person who created the character? You said that they were...
Yeah, she's Filipino herself.
Okay.
Decided to make a Filipino Muppet based on her younger brother named TJ, and they named it after her brother.
Okay.
TJ. So she was like posting about ugly crying after the episode aired, and like it's really not that deep, obviously, and it's not worth our outrage.
No,
but
that you have to be very careful.
It's pitiful that these people are so unfulfilled that this is their purpose in life. Representation. This is the God they worship. Representation. It's not. It really doesn't matter.
Do you think
that
do you think that maybe and I'm just asking questions. We need to have Jesse Ventura on this podcast. That would be incredible. Do you think there is a blind spot here for us growing up as white, as Caucasians here in America, that like we talk about why that it doesn't matter, but like, and certainly I point out all the time that many of my favorite characters, like 3 of my 5, who I would put as my top favorite actors, if we're talking about representation in movies and stuff, are not white.
Look,
but I'm just saying, like do they have at least?
It only matters insofar as the racial demographic change that's taken place extremely quickly in this country has caused a lot of racial tensions.
Yep.
And that was never necessary. And we don't need to play into it. We don't need to make it any worse than it already is by demonizing white people. That's my opinion. And we don't have a blind spot because we're white and privileged.
Not about privilege. I'm just saying about the fact that we've grown up watching content with people that look like us forever.
Okay.
So
and?
I'm saying, like, is there a point to the argument? Like,
it would be weird
seems-
if we grew up watching content that had all people of other races, because we're currently still the majority of this country.
But
we should be in the majority of the content.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it doesn't make their argument right. But I'm saying I understand the point of view they're coming from,
No,
even if I disagree with it.
resentiment. That's what it is.
From the creators,
Hating the
yes.
ideal simply because you think of it as unattainable.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
Thank you.
all right.
We've got a lot of super chats to catch up on here. Noah Sanders said, personally, I'd say that Allison Young of YouTube fame and Christina Hendricks of Mad Men fame are both 10s. They just happen to be redheads.
Yes. Christina Hendricks is gorgeous.
Francisco.
I always make fun of Christina Hendricks because she was married to Jeffrey Arend, and when I look at those two together, if you look at pictures, he's not an ugly guy. He's just not Christina Hendricks level good looking.
Women don't care about looks. Francisco Sanchez Jr.
That's a new. That's new to me.
Well, they don't. Francisco Sanchez Jr. said PCC is a 10, CCP is a 1.
Perfect.
Shane H. Wilder said, oh, and how effed in the head do you have to be to create an AI of your parent instead of going through the natural grieving process? Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not conducive to actual healing or curing loneliness or some insane goal like that. Deuce Boogaloo said, current 10, Madison Beer. We were just talking about her. Lifelong 10, Salma Hayek. I'm not going to read that one. Political 10, Lauren Southern. Podcast 10, Pop Culture Crisis.
There you go.
So true. Ned's Pay Pig said, Brett, how do you source for your bits that you contribute to IMDb, DVD commentaries, anything else?
That depends on what I'm contributing. A lot of times, my favorite things to point out are like, look, if an actor appears in something and then I see them appear with another actor that they were also in something else in, I will contribute. Like, they also appeared with this actor in this movie from there. So that's just by virtue of watching the scene and knowing that they're in both productions. So it's just you watch a lot of stuff and eventually you see a lot of overlap. And you see that a lot on network television anyways, because a lot of the best actors have been doing so for so long that obviously the overlap is going to show up. And I actually get a lot of enjoyment out of watching two actors portray vastly different characters in scenes together in different productions, because you get to see the depth of their acting skills if they're playing vastly different characters from one thing to another. I do miss DVD commentaries, though. I like I said, I would pay a pretty penny for a streaming service to offer DVD commentaries from the movies and stuff that they license. But a lot of times, the stuff that's licensed through their DVD sales isn't licensed in the same place as the production itself, so they wouldn't be able to do that.
Dark Gift Comics Presents said, I disagree, Mary. Phil is right. There are universal 10s, people that when you elbow your friend, you say, look, you both know. Yeah, I wasn't implying that objective attractiveness isn't a thing, but I definitely have heard guys say that they don't find Megan Fox attractive, which I think she's objectively attractive. It's just some people don't like her. He also said, damn, stopped both sessions just before mine and missed both, and they were relevant to the topics at the moment. Rigged. Wait, what?
Was that because of the crisis parties?
Noah Sanders said, I would actually watch John Leguizamo as Gwyneth Paltrow. That would be a great comedy movie, especially if he used his Sid voice the whole movie. The thing is, he's acting like white people would be mad about it.
No, we find it hilarious.
We can take a joke. Yep. We're kind of the only people that are willing and able to take a joke these days.
Basically.
DD Megadoodoo97 said, hey y'all, for Phil, James, he called you Phil, F-I-L-L. James Lindsay has been discussing Gnosticism lately. Would you say it would be important to draw a distinction between a secular and non-secular Gnosticism?
If you're talking about secular Gnosticism as the kind of modern left kind of Gnosticism, and a non-secular Gnosticism as in your standard Judeo-Christian and Islamic religions, then yes, absolutely. The Judeo-Christian and Islamic religions know their place for the most part, and they interact with a liberal society very, very, very well. The secular Gnosticism does not interact with liberalism at all. It's totally totalitarian. And I mean, it's possible that Islam doesn't, but I'm not going to go ahead and say that for sure because I don't know enough about Islam. But I do know that Christianity and Judaism work well with liberalism, and the secular Gnosticism does not.
Okay.
James Orenthal Wen said, "Give us the Samoan Muppet, or there will be props."
And they would use The Rock to introduce him because The Rock is the biggest star of Samoan heritage right now.
He probably is, yes.
So, all right. That everything, right? Correct. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we go, can I ask you to please hit the like button on this video? There's one that just came through right there. From
Dark Gift Comics Presents said, "Yeah, I was referring to the last 2 times you read Superchats. You stopped right before mine both times.
No.
Just busting balls." Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, because I have my arbitrary place whenever I'm like, let's stop and move on to the next topic. Sorry about that, bud. All right. So, guys, before we go, would you please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? I have finished the poll. I finally remembered to actually include it into the end of the show today. I always end up having it end the poll after the show ends. So I asked, what do you prefer? Do you prefer Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal, or none? They're all satanic reptilians. And with 68% of the vote, you say you prefer none of them. They're all satanic reptilians. Universal comes in second with 18%, Warner Brothers third with 9%, and Disney got 3% of the vote. The fact that anybody voted Disney is a testament to the fact that you're willing to watch a show that craps on Disney. So we applaud you for your ability to hear an opinion that may or may not agree with your own. Also, Phil, can you let everyone know where they can find you?
I am Phil That Remains on Twitter. I am Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains on Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, and all of the socials and stuff.
Perfect. Mary, where can they find you?
Cool. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived. And we have an exciting guest on the show tomorrow, so wait for that.
That was a very good hype package right there. We'll use that as our lead-in. You'll have to tune in for that one tomorrow, guys. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show, Pop Culture Crisis, is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you would like to listen to this podcast rather than watch it, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we are on Twitter at @popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.